to Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Sports bar is open, but the one thing we're missing here today, the drinks here. I'm just drinking some water here. We got a full house here in the bar today.
Let's go.
Welcome in. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Gene Battaglia with you. Mike Danger is out today. He will be back on July 7th. Tim Schneider, terrible take, Timmy, who is there once again wearing his plates gear here. The voice you just heard wearing his Fenway shirt with a shamrock.
That's right.
Underwood.
Let's go Boston.
The last time you were here, my gosh, that was the Four Nations. People were down on the NBA. So we'll talk some Bills. We'll talk some Red Sox with you. And hanging out for just a few minutes because I asked him, Dan DeLorean.
What up, guys? How we doing?
Yeah, Dan. So we get to that. Before we get to Dan's take here, because I want to pick your brain on something, let's tell everybody what we got coming up on the show today. We have just one guest coming up. Well, you are a guest here too, Mike.
Oh, so wow. Thank you.
There you go. So, but we got Haley Wynn, who was the number 2 overall pick in the PWHL draft. She is from Webster. She will be joining us in the 4 o'clock hour today, which means we got plenty of time for your calls at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. You can hit us up on X. Our handle is The Fan Rochester. And Dan, you are out of here after today. I'm out of here after today. So, like, if it's Danger, I always razz him like he has 1 foot out the door. So you're going to be gone. Tim, can you hold me accountable here today so I'm not mailing this in here?
I can do my best, but I'm also feeling last day of school vibes on it. So.
Yeah, it's got a little, right. So
we'll get through it.
We'll get through it. And hopefully we'll have some fun. Maybe we break a few rules. Dan, what do the Sabres do here? Because here's my take on the Sabres. I don't think any trade Sabre fans would like. And when I'm looking at Peterka, okay, 2 guys that we're not really familiar with other than Doan's kid. What's your initial reaction to the Peterka trade?
I was expecting more in return. I thought it was going to be a bigger haul, I guess, just in terms of I really thought that they were going to get maybe more prospects, more picks, just a bigger name in return, I guess. So not that I'm disappointed to a full extent. I think Josh Doan has potential down the road to be maybe top 6 maybe. And then Kesselring, I think, should be a solid defenseman you compare with basically anybody Buffalo has in their lineup right now. So it just feels underwhelming right now. And maybe they go and they target more pieces in free agency, and then it won't feel as bad. But right now it's kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, it's like if this is it, okay, and just right after that, of course, Peterka signs a new deal with Utah. That was part of it, so he knew what was going along. Utah seems like they're going to be spending money here, so watch. Peterka will become the next ex-Sabre to hoist a cup. Yesterday on the show, we talked to Paul Hamilton from WGR joining us, and the narrative here being that J.J. Peterka wanted out, and Paul didn't get that sense at all.
I think they are still holding out hope that they don't have to trade him. I think this is completely agent-oriented. J.J. Peterka gave no indication at all in locker clean-out interviews with us that he was unhappy. He basically had a smile on his face. He was talking about playing for Lindy Ruff. He was talking about where he could improve his game. Just no indication at all he was unhappy. And he has a agent who will do things like that. It's like, we're going to get you to a bigger market where you can make more money, and they'll be willing to pay you. And, you'll have a city you'll be happy in because there's 9,000 things to do. And, are you happy in Buffalo? I mean, is there really anything to do there? It just seems to me that Alan Walsh convinced him that maybe he needs to move because there was just zero indication at all that he was unhappy being in Buffalo or anything like that. So I think the Sabres are still holding out hope that maybe they can convince Peterka that this is the place that, you want to be. Because if some player player or if the agent is staunch on saying the player doesn't want to be here, well, Kevin Adams doesn't want players that don't want to be here. So in which case then, yeah, the trade would likely be made. But now you got two holes in your top six then, because to me, you got to get Benson out of your top six. He might eventually become a top six player, and I like the way he plays, but he doesn't belong there right now. You get almost no production out of him, out of your top six guy. So if Peterka goes, now you got two holes in your top six.
Wah, wah. Because honestly, there's nothing there I disagree. Remember the timing of that was yesterday. I do think, Mike, that 7.7 million average, that's really nothing. Peterka is still young, and maybe you'd be paying it ahead of schedule here. But the idea that I want to leave Buffalo because there's not a lot to do in Buffalo.
Yeah, the Buffalo is boring takes, stale.
Look, Salt Lake City, in fairness, I've never been there, but that's not a destination for players based on, say, the NBA over the years.
Right.
Like beautiful, but just the culture out there. You're not going to the clubs, or you're not even going out to a bar necessarily.
I don't even think they have, bars like that.
No. So it's to me, this is it's a good hockey move for Utah, and maybe this works out for Buffalo. But Tim, I'm just thinking, you don't make this move unless you know you're bringing in some other big-name center here.
Unless you're the Buffalo Sabres, in which you have no idea what you're doing the entire time, which is possibly the case here. On the surface, yes, this move is made to make another move, but it's Kevin Adams who has shown that he's not quite GM material, so who knows what they actually have up their sleeves. By making this move, they have to do something, again.
Yeah.
What that will be, anyone's guess. Hopefully it's something positive and good, because I've got a sour taste in my mouth on this one. Like, there's potential that these guys become something, but J.J. Peterka was already proven and is also young. So you don't need to move him unless he's demanding. And
I believe, Paul, he wasn't demanding unless he's going out there and there was some sort of change of heart. Maybe it was the agent saying, we're doing this. J.J. Peterka, from Germany, by the way, so he doesn't really, honestly, to me, this all didn't fit from the get-go.
If it's an agent manipulation thing, so be it. Fine. Good luck to you, and the agent got what he wanted, and he got Peterka paid, which is important as well.
Ultimately, that's what it's about.
But with the Sabres, now that he's gone, you have pieces to fill. There's options out there, but now you have to go convince somebody or make a trade, another one, and fill those boxes that need to be filled.
Yeah.
Kevin Adams has his work cut out for him, and he actually has to do his job.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. Anyone who wants to talk some Sabres. We'll get to the Bills and to the Red Sox here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll quiz you here, Mike. Wearing your Fenway shirt here today. How appropriate. But have you guys ever visited follow me on this. The New York State Unclaimed Funds website. Are you familiar with this?
I am.
Yes.
You're Dan saying no. Okay, so for anybody who isn't, let's see if I got this right. If I'm a business or some entity and I'm legally obligated to give you money, whether I was an employer or some sort of rebate, I can't find you. And I'm just going to turn it over to the state, which surprises me that this happens. It even surprises me that, okay, we all move, right. but if you type in your name, like, oh my gosh, there's money that belongs to my family on this. Did you ever find anything on there, Mike?
Never found a thing on foot. Just my luck. No, nothing turned up.
Nothing of substance, but I have come up on there before with like a refund or a rebate that was like $22, which was nice to have because it's my money, but nothing of substantial value.
I figured this out every year for Mother's Day. We would give because this is what my mother-in-law would ask, a gift certificate to QVC. And apparently these gift certificates did get used because all of a sudden my wife's name pops up like, hey, we got our money back. All right. Mom, I'm sorry. Like maybe, or she forgot them, lost them. I don't know. Why am I talking about this? Well, there's stadium news today, and it's not New York. There's other states that have this. And this, Tim, are you familiar with this story?
I saw the headline.
Get ready for this. So the Browns, their desire, like every desire, is to have a new dome stadium, right? And to me, the prudent thing, the frugal thing to do, correct me if I'm wrong, Tim, just put money into what you already have in Cleveland. It's a great location. It's not an outdated stadium. The promise of Super Bowls and this and that and every other thing, I don't know. I maybe you get one. Is that really worth all that money? And, oh, by the way, the dome would be outside of the city limits. So where do you come down on dome or no dome?
I don't mind the location, but if you're going to do a dome, it can't be where it is. You'd have to literally blow up the site, completely rebuild it, and then you can't just put a roof on it.
Okay, right. So you're in favor of a dome, but it would be outside the city limits.
Yeah, so what they're doing, I'm okay with. If I was a city resident, like, I'm a fan, but if I am a fan of Cleveland, but if I lived in Cleveland, I don't know how I would feel. Kind of like if Orchard Park wasn't what the answer already is for the Bills, if they were in Buffalo and they were moving to Orchard Park, I think we'd be pretty fired up about it.
Yeah, and that's why ultimately I think, okay, that would, because of infrastructure and, with the expressways and sewers and a lot of things you just don't even think about, power grids, the cost for the stadium downtown would have been so much more in Buffalo that, okay, we want to get this done, but we don't be stupid about it. And you could argue, okay, somebody is already saying, we were already stupid about it. Okay, I'm saying really, really stupid about it. Back to the Browns. The Browns really want the dome option. How are you going to make this work? How does the public entity, how does the state? Well, Ohio, just like New York, they have their own unclaimed funds, and I don't know how that works if they have a website. That's not the point. The point here is that the funding from the state would be $600 million in unclaimed funds, which, Mike, I'm just like, how's that even legal?
Yeah.
How's that even legal? Like, oh my gosh, like I had this money, but the state kind of
scarfed it,
that
built a stadium for a subpar football team.
I hear this team, Tim. I'm thinking, okay, this plan from the state really isn't legit. They don't have the money to make this work, and you're going to try that nobody's going to legally challenge this?
Yeah, from the sounds of it, there's got to be like a statute on being able to claim that money that is rightfully yours, but if you take too long, it absolves into the state's own fund, and they're just going to take that money and turn it into their money, which becomes the Browns' publicly funded money, I guess, in one way to say it.
And if it's $600 million, how far does that get you? That's a fraction.
That's
right?
a fraction.
You're talking billions to build.
You're talking probably a $2 billion stadium. So that's
why.
That's you're scraping at that
right.
point. Like
to cause such a stir.
Let's say that's like well, it's a quarter of the investment. So, and I don't think that the state would be on the hook for the whole thing. To me, it's like, okay, then can you in Ohio really afford that? I'm going to do this in real time just for Dan Drummy here. Dan Drummy.
Wow.
Is it with an E or is it? Yeah, it is with an E. The Dandalorian we affectionately. Sorry, Dan.
Oh.
No, there's no. I'm just going to search.
I know you're paying Dan.
Search the Drummy family. Nope, there's no Drummies at all. They're missing money.
So close.
So close. Maybe next time. Dan, thank you. Enjoy your. Are you going anywhere for vacation?
We'll find out,
Oh, wow.
All right. Secret. Dan, the angry Met fan.
It's going to be the undisclosed location. Wow.
See, Dan and I
It's
are.
unknown.
We're both in agreement, Mike, that like the Mets beat the Braves last night. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
You didn't get swept. Now you play the Pirates, and I'm not going to be excited if you sweep the
Come
Pirates.
on, why not?
I'm sorry.
A win's a win.
Pirates.
Danger. Mike Danger says, never apologize for a victory. Right?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Get your wins.
Okay, so along those lines, your Sox. Yeah. Here's the weird.
Bad.
So the Devers thing.
Yeah.
We knew that was going all along, which the first misstep was how could you not know by bringing in Bregman that would set off this chain reaction.
Correct.
Like, or how could you not give him the money without having the conversation that, hey, at some point, as long as we're giving you the money, would you be amenable to a position change or
Right.
DH? If in that conversation, like he said, nope, I'm going to sign as long as I'm the third baseman here forever, and like I doubt that was
Which,
the case.
ironically, he stinks at playing third base
Right.
defensively. He's real bad.
Mike, I'm not going to argue with what the Red Sox were trying to do, but
Well-
like in sales, you have to set expectations ahead of time.
Correct.
So
Managing expectations.
I
right?
don't think the Red Sox managed the expectations for Devers when they offered that contract.
No, they didn't. And it starts way before even this season because they pushed him out there to be the face of the franchise, and he just doesn't have that type of charisma and personality. He's not a David Ortiz. He's just not capable of being what they wanted him to be. So there's already a lot of pressure on him. Then you sign Bregman potentially in the offseason and move around positions and things, and they told him they wanted to be a DH. Well, then they lost their first baseman. Now they want to try to put a glove on and play first, and he's starting to get prickly. And I don't. It's one of those situations where I don't think either side is wrong, but there's just a lot of built-up animosity between the two sides. And I think it probably was the best to move him. I think if they would have waited another few weeks, it probably could have got more, getting closer to the All-Star break or the deadline. And they didn't get very much in return, but they did get out from underneath his contract. So I guess we'll take it, I guess.
Yeah, I think that another weird thing about the whole Devers situation was the timing of this.
Terrible.
You sweep the Yankees on Father's Day
And
weekend.
let's celebrate by trading our best player.
Right, like I mean, like okay, maybe wouldn't you have at least all right? Maybe this is the beginning, and it's just a speed bump, and what you got in return. All right,
Yeah,
maybe,
it was bad. The return is terrible.
It came off of like this guy. To me, it came off of we're done with this guy. What could we get? We need to save money. You're the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, you
That
shouldn't be
cannot
having a
factor,
fire sale in early June. That's crazy. One of the biggest baseball markets in the world.
Well, you shouldn't be getting outfoxed.
No.
By the Tampa Bay Rays. The Tampa Bay Rays, who since May 20th have the best record in baseball. And again, they're doing this with smoke and mirrors, you would think, but they seem
Every
to be
year.
way ahead of the curve. And for the Red Sox, who, we brought in all MIT grads and everything. You have all the smartest people in that market, and yet you can't crack the code. You're getting outfoxed by a team that's playing in a minor league park in that division.
Yeah, and to sign somebody like Craig Breslow to be your chief baseball operator or whatever they want to call him, essentially your GM, de facto GM, with no experience in that kind of market. It's a weird look to begin with, and he's been mishandling things up to this point, so it's not been great.
The last championship was 2018, correct?
That's right. And I will say, though, this team has 2016 vibes. That was a year when Mookie Betts, Jackie Bradley Jr., all the young guys came up, started getting some energy and getting going. We got a little bit of that going on this year, so we'll see what happens.
Maybe that's what happens, that they get in and they make a push in the wild card. I mean, I'm not buying in on the Jays. I think they're a little
division's wide open.
No, and the Orioles. We talked to Ben Wagner yesterday. They can't pitch.
Right.
That's that. But the Red Sox seemingly would have a few pieces, but I don't know whether they're coming or going here by doing that.
I don't think they know.
No,
it's bad.
They don't. 2018 is that's long ago, right? Like, you can't, as a Sox fan, be satisfied when you won a World Series 7 years ago. Like, how many years is it after a championship where you could be like, okay, come on.
Well, it wasn't 18, but it wasn't a one-off. I mean, we had a pretty good stretch there. It was 04, 07, 13, and 18. So, it was a good run. We'd like to get another one here, but it'll happen. It will happen.
My gosh, that's right. 4.
Yeah.
4.
Just over a decade, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
So the first one being the best.
Oh, yeah.
Which team did you like after that?
My favorite team was 2013. That was just a great team. They really, not that talented of a team overall. Played well together, and they had some really good pieces. David Ortiz, one of his final years, I mean, he hit that huge homer against the Tigers, the famous bullpen cop home run, to keep us in there. So many good memories, and so many good veteran guys that were just good role players. They worked well together. It was a great team.
Yeah. Tim, you been to Fenway, buddy?
Only outside of it.
Ooh.
It was
Still fun.
It was a Yankees. It was a Yankees Red Sox series, so there was no way I was getting in just based on the price of it. But I was there for a weekend, probably about 10 years ago, and it was a fun time.
How many bars are down there now?
A
lot, yeah.
They block off like a square around Fenway Park on game day, and there's quite a few bars, restaurants, happenings, bands going, flying Bryans on stilts out front, throwing balls around. It's a good time.
That's good. So you've got the Fenway T-shirt. Where do you come down on the new City Connects there?
Love them.
Love
them. Hated the old ones. Hated the yellow and blue.
Yeah.
They were okay. Only thing I did like about those, we had a good winning record in those. But love the green monster. They're nice.
They're not. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's gonna sound like old man take, but when I turn on a TV, like, what am I?
Here comes the no fun police. Here it comes.
What am I fun? Yeah, like, what am I watching here?
I don't know. Baseball. We gotta try to do something.
Yeah,
Spice it up.
Like I want to know. Like, my brain needs to tell me that I'm watching the Red Sox. And
Well, it still says Red Sox right in the front. Jimmy. Come on.
I know, but like when they're in yellow and blue.
I know.
It takes me a
It
second.
does. Yeah, definitely. It is a little bit. You gotta
Brewers,
adjust.
Mariners. Nope, the Red Sox.
No, there they are.
Yeah, no, there's some really bad ones out there, but you know where this is going. They haven't announced, what are they calling these alternate threads? So every team in the NFC West and every team in the AFC East is a rivalry match. So what does that entail, Mike? Is it a throwback? Is it going to be something that is going to be? I think they're just gonna. I think they're taking this template from baseball. I'm gonna put it in football.
It's popular. NFL's been doing it for a bit, though. We've been having throwbacks. The Bills have had the standing buffalo.
Oh, I'm talking like you're gonna have something that is totally like, okay, what am I watching?
Oh,
Where
okay. I see what
the
you're saying.
Buffalo City flag, and for Miami, it will be just like the Marlins neon this and everything. Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna recognize what's on.
Yeah, I don't know. There's obviously huge rumblings. Everybody wants the old '90s throwback Bills uniforms. Obviously, that's not gonna be part of that, but that'd be pretty cool if they pull it off.
Why won't they give that to us? Why won't they give us a red helmet?
Josh Allen comes out in the playoffs in the '90s Bills uniform.
Oh my God!
Stadium will fall over. Done. Just condemn it. It's gonna crumble.
If they wouldn't that be the ultimate rollout? Like, we're not going to tell anybody about an alternate uniform.
Oh
they
my
just
goodness.
show up and like, what?
AFC Championship at home in Buffalo. Josh rolls out of the tunnel. He's got the red '90s helmet on. Let's go. We win by $1 billion.
So he's done this at camp every year.
I know. He's such a troll. He's the best. I love him.
He had the red helmet, the blue helmet, the black helmet. I don't know where he goes. My next one, he's going to wear a Zubaz helmet. It's going to
Yeah, I'm here for that too. He can wear any helmet he wants. Just keep throwing touchdowns.
You want to talk some Bills? Can you hang out here?
Sure, absolutely.
Our buddy Mike Underwood from On Track Auto Sales, where if you go in, you get the Chuck Muncie discount.
You get the Chuck Muncie discount. Just mention Chuck. You're with Chuck. We'll hook you right up.
Tim Schneider here as well as, we're headed to a 4th of July week here on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to update.
Sabres trade J.J. Peterka, the center, going to the Utah Mammoth. This in exchange for defenseman Michael Kesselring and forward Josh Doan. Peterka was due to become a restricted free agent, signs a 5-year deal with the Mammoth, averaging $7.7 million a year. Marty Baron gives us his thoughts on Josh Doan.
Right now, he's still a prospect to a certain extent with 60-some NHL games, as you pointed. But I think there's a middle six there that could be attained by Josh Doan at some point here. I'm not talking in 5 years, in the near future. So I think that there is a good player.
Wings home tonight taking on Syracuse on the Major League scoreboard. Bottom of 4, the Cubs are up on the Cardinals 2-0. Astros up on the Phillies 1-0. They're in the 5th. Jays are up in Cleveland 3-0 as they go to the top in the 9th. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Sometimes we go to break and then the sports talk doesn't stop. Good afternoon once again. Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider, Mike Underwood from On Track Auto Sales. And yes, you were talking about it. You were asking me, where am I going? I go every year to Cape Cod.
Fantastic.
So that's good. You know, we get a place, and all of a sudden, for a week, I'm watching Boston Red Sox baseball on NESN, and that's what's provided. And I'll say this. I think the Red Sox, NESN, for folks who don't know, NESN owns, the Red Sox own NESN.
That's right.
Yeah, like many of them. I think they do a great job with it.
Oh, it's a fantastic broadcast.
Yeah.
Love it.
It's like, even like, okay, here's the pregame and here's the, you get on site. Is you compare that to the Yankees, where they're just, it just looks like it's the same studio they've had for 20 years. It's the same production. I mean, if you're the Yankees, why haven't they invested more into their TV production on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, one of the biggest markets in baseball. You figure it would be a better broadcast than it is. I mean, I don't know if it's just because they're stuck in their traditionalists. You know, the Yankee fans definitely a little more old school, although Boston fans are too, I guess. So I don't know. It's a little bit mysterious, but you listen to it or watch it. If you don't watch the scoreboard, you think they win every game. You know, it's unbelievable.
Well, like I compare it to, like, you know, and Yankee fans cannot argue this with me. Like, if you compare the Yankee broadcast to the Mets are superior when it got like the broadcast itself.
Yeah, I enjoy the Mets broadcast.
From the production.
Do they still have Ron Darling on there?
Yep,
fantastic.
Gary Keith and Ron, and they will crush the team if they're playing poorly. Sometimes they get a little silly if the game is if they're bored with the game.
It's out of hand. Yeah,
they're gonna let you know. Tim is a Guardians fan. The Guardian, that's one of those just kind of generic cookie cutter.
Well, yeah, they're actually owned by MLB right now because the Valley Sports or whatever went under, and the broadcasters are still the same, and they do a great job. I prefer the Guardians radio broadcast to the TV broadcast. So, but as far as the Yankees and Mets go, Michael Kay does a good job, but the rest of them are kind of just like, it's like state radio, and you're forced to listen to, oh, this Yankees player is good, just not today. Like, the Mets are like, nope, this guy stinks right now.
Yeah.
And how about that, though? There is something to be said about listening to a game on the radio, you know?
There you go.
I do it periodically. My family laughs at me like I'm 100 years old, but there's something about that. You know?
EI, buddy, and then you've got the Mets.
EI. Will Fleming and the Hall of Famer Joe Castiglione up there in Boston. he's retired now, but he was fantastic.
Yeah, Mets Odyssey Mets Radio is where I'm tuning.
Yeah,
there we go. We got the
beautiful.
Mike Underwood is our guest here. We were talking about Bill's training camp, which is less than a month away.
Yeah.
I don't like to say, for us in the business, that's when summer ends. It's just starting, but like when football comes in, and I don't want to, frame it that way, because I really no, I love training camp. That doesn't mean summer ends, but when the Bills kind of arrive, what are you looking at for camp here? What kind of camp battles? I mean, what?
Well, I think we got to look at the punter battle, Gene.
No.
I mean, it is.
There are going to be people that are going to be breaking down every.
Yeah, I mean, it's great, but it's like we always say, we're a victim of our own success in Buffalo right now. So, camp's tough to get to. They're having ticket lotteries. Back in the drought days, I mean, you'd hop in your car, roll up to the grass field. I mean, shoot, you hang out long enough, Greg Williams probably hand you his headset and a clipboard and let you call a few plays in. I mean, there was just nobody there. It was low key. Now it's all amped up. The Josh Allen effect. There's crowds. It's exciting.
It's crazy to think that for any non-prime time. And there are no more prime time practices, but back in the
No.
day, you could just roll up.
Right.
You didn't need
It was
a ticket.
fantastic.
It was just like get on the
Hang
shuttle,
out.
pay the $1 for the shuttle, no advanced planning.
But-
Okay, just wake up. What are we doing? Oh, let's head on over to the camp, kids.
Yeah. Product stunk, but, it was Bills football anyways, I guess, academically,
Yeah. The thing is, too, like, could they put in more people at Fisher? Maybe. Maybe. But there's a couple reasons. One, the Pittsford itself. They've got
the logistics are tough.
They've got an ordinance. You only can have, for Fisher football, they can't go over 5,000
Right.
capacity. So we know that.
Shout out to Fisher, too. What a... as an alumni and a dad of a recent alumni, it does take a little bit of a toll on the school as well. But we're very fortunate to have that here.
Oh, 100%.
Fantastic.
100%, because all these teams
What a
now
product.
are just practicing at home. where
Yeah,
you
at
can't,
their
like-
stadiums, or some of the camps are a little further away, from where they actually play and stuff. So that's great. We're so lucky to have it.
If you go to camp, if you're wondering, I've never been to camp. Just know, like, for the majority of it, it's not football. They're just kind of doing individual drills. When you get to the end with the 7-on-7, maybe
Right.
you get a day with 11-on-11 with pads. That can be fun. That can be really
For sure.
fun.
Yeah, you see 'em scrimmage. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. And in fact, the one thing I wish would come back. So the Bills are going to, right after camp here, they're going to go to Chicago and do the joint practices
Yeah.
with the Bears at scrimmage before their preseason game. There were 2 years where the Browns came here, and that was
Right.
a lot of fun. 09, 2010. Tim, you helped me out with coverage that one year.
It was It was Johnny Manziel, so
Oh,
13
wow.
or 14.
Really? That?
Yeah.
Okay.
And speaking of Johnny Manziel, want some breaking news from Adam Schefter? Not Johnny Manziel, but
good.
there is some breaking news.
Okay, wait a second. Do you know the breaking news sounder? No. Do you have John Sterling? No. See, Mike Danger is a wizard on the board. I'm totally clueless, and Tim can't find half of it there.
There's so many. I do see it now. Yes.
Okay.
There it is.
I was actually looking for that when we were talking.
It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
So
Now it's official.
Now for the next until 6 o'clock, if you have breaking news and I'm just droning on about some point, and you're like, okay, wrap it up, Gene. Just hit that sounder.
All right.
Hit it again for breaking news.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
The NFL has suspended former Ravens kicker Justin Tucker for the first 10 weeks of the upcoming season for violation of the personal conduct policy.
Kind of a Francesa, right? I don't know.
Yes, because he's done, but he was somebody who was at the top. I think
Yeah, that
the
was
story
precipitous.
is here, like, how did this guy behave that long, and how did it take, like, some, like, just
It took
public-
10 years to get in trouble
Yeah.
for something that is pretty reprehensible.
Yeah.
awful. Like if people, like, if you're not familiar with the story, Deshaun Watson type of behavior, perhaps worse,
Right.
allegedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Terrible. So that's it. We'll never
Maybe
get-
he's a kicker, so he flew under the radar a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
that's a little weird, though.
That's the difference. Like, if you're a kicker, and I'm going to put out the disclaimer, nothing was ever found for Matt Araiza, okay? Let's just get that
Right.
out of the way, okay? I'm not comparing Matt Araiza, but Matt Araiza went through a situation where the Bills were like, okay, you know what? We're moving on here.
Immediately cut him.
Didn't cut him, and went through the whole process. The Bills could have put him on the commissioner's exempt list. Mike, I understood why. Because he's a punter. I'm sorry. Like, if it's a different position
Right.
that's more valuable.
Yeah, I think-
mean, like these guys, players are commodities,
Right.
whether you like it or not. And that commodity for the Buffalo Bills in a year where they were trying to get to the Super Bowl,
They did not need the
didn't want-
distraction. Yeah, not for a punter, you know?
It's just a punter.
Yeah.
They're a dime a dozen. Even now, guys
Maybe.
with nicknames like Punt God,
Yeah.
not a dime a dozen.
No, not at all. You know, but yeah, that's the only thing you can really think of, though. He's a more high-profile player, although he is pretty high-profile. I mean, he's supposedly one of the greatest kickers of all time.
He was bad last year, Tim.
Yeah, he was not
bad
good last year. He was not good last year.
Until last year, he was probably, outside of Adam Vinatieri, there's nobody else you're even putting in the conversation for best kicker of all time. And now it's now with the
right.
tainted resume and the bad year.
if he kicked until he was 40 like Vinatieri, maybe he goes to another team and wins a Super. Like, we're having that conversation, but this is the way it ends, and his behavior went unchecked, and this is the result. You know, when the story broke, it wasn't until after he had this poor season, but would you buy into this theory that quite often if somebody's poking around and you're about ready, like did Tucker know this was coming, and if so, did that totally throw off his mental preparation whenever he has to go out and make a kick?
Yeah, that's entirely possible. Like when you've done something inappropriate or flat out wrong, and you're on the verge of being exposed for it, you know it's coming, and your mind's elsewhere. Then that probably affects what you do in everyday life.
But see, that's me and you, and you,
Correct.
Mike. If we would do something wrong, that would affect my conscience.
Sure, weigh on you.
I like, if you do this allegedly, repeatedly to women, do you have a conscience? Honestly,
is that tough. And how long was he doing it? You know what I mean? He'd had. Did he pay him off? Has it been going on for a number of years? You think at his age, it's not something you just up and start doing randomly. You know, it's bizarre.
Yeah. Well,
he's still pretty steadfast in his innocence as well. He's just accepted this to move on from it. So
yeah, sure,
sure.
He doesn't have a job, so I mean, they could have done just the quiet. All right, don't that would be called collusion. I suppose.
Now it gets the 10 weeks out of the way, and he's free to sign with a team in need if somebody's ready to dive back down that rabbit hole. I think he's probably done.
He's done.
But when you have that kind of resume, I don't know.
No,
I mean the Browns did it with Deshaun Watson.
He's done. You don't need that because you can sign any kicker, Mike.
Right.
Okay, pick your favorite team. Say the Bills needed a kicker. Okay, we introduced Justin Tucker. Question number 1: the background. You don't want to be.
Yeah, you're gonna have him show up week 11.
You don't want to associate with something like that
in the middle of a good. If you're having a good season or about to make a playoff push, you're going to have this guy show up week 11 or 12, wherever his suspension's over, and then total distraction to the team. It doesn't make a lot of sense for a kicker. You know?
I will say, counterpoint, if Deshaun Watson was actually good, people would let it go. You get over if you're a winner, people look past the bad stuff. There's a lot of guys in the NFL like that.
That's what the Browns are banking on. And we never got to that point, which is weird because there was a game against the Ravens, coincidentally. It was 2 years ago where Watson, high scoring, Cleveland won. And Mike, I'm thinking, oh, gosh, this is the turning point.
He did look good. Beyond that.
And then he gets hurt, and then you go through this.
Right.
Okay, I don't think Tucker gets another chance. Deshaun Watson, do we ever see him on the field again, Tim?
No.
He's just bad.
He's not even he's got the bad guy resume down, and now he's bad at football, so it's over. Nobody's going to give him a shot.
So next year, so the Browns will move on. They'll take that horrific cap cut, but then again, since you're going rookies at quarterback at next year's second year, or maybe you draft again, who knows, you can afford that, but no, you would not.
Absolutely not.
No.
Seems unlikely. Definitely
if somebody
feels
wants
unlikely.
to take that problem on, go for it. But the Browns are almost certainly done with him, knowing that they drafted 2 and if they have another bad year, they'll have the cream of the crop next year as well.
It seems like.
I mean, who is he better than, in the NFL? Who's taking a shot with him? I'm racking my brain, who's taking a shot that he's better than what they have right now?
The last year we saw him in Houston, they went 4-12.
That was how many years ago now?
Yeah, right. So it's like they didn't even have the 17-game regular season at that point.
And last year or the year before was bad football. I mean, it was hard to watch.
Yeah, I mean, for so many years, at least we don't have the, hey, they should go sign Colin Kaepernick. If you're out of the
Brett
league,
Favre.
I went to, I cover the Bills. I went to the first Kaepernick press conference. They lose terribly to the Bills. This is Chip Kelly, the 1 year.
I remember.
And just looking at Kaepernick, I'm like, Mike, I swear, he didn't look like a football player. He just looked, oh my gosh, this guy is slender.
Right.
And he was already built like that. I'm like, it didn't look like you put in the work here, buddy. While you were
that last season for him too as well was just terrible.
Yeah,
you know,
people forget that he came back, and the Niners are like, okay, and then didn't have a chance after that. Well, Tim, thank you for that the breaking bit of news here.
You got it.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. I don't have any update for anybody on the Rochester Nighthawks and what's going on with that. But since you're here today, Mike, our position has been this. We're pro-Rochester number one. We're pro-downtown number two. For an ownership like the Pagulas, who are, they're so invested in Buffalo. They're so invested in Western New York. I would have just hoped they would have had a plan to keep an asset here in Rochester, being the lacrosse team. I think we all can agree that's not a moneymaker.
No.
But on the other hand, there's no shortage of people who want to buy teams.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like if you want out, perfectly understandable. But why not have a succession plan or a sale of the team or something in order to just transfer that property to somebody that does care to have it?
Well, and there's so many details that we don't know, and the league is claiming they're trying to find a Rochester buyer. But if you are trying to, all right, you're a car salesman, Mike. You're going for the high, right? You want to maybe not.
Well, you can always go down, right? So
you can always
start.
But the analogy is like if the Pagulas were taking top dollar for this asset, being the Rochester Nighthawks, it's not here in Rochester. I would think there would be somebody like, okay. We're Charlotte, like whatever. We want this franchise. We see the value in it. Again, there's so many things we don't know about this, but
yeah, it is odd that no one has really said much at all. It's been a week about now. We haven't heard a whole heck of a lot.
No. NBA draft last night. Tim, did you watch any? I'm sorry, I'm a sports talk show host. I did not. I kind of got the gist.
I watched the Cooper Flag selection, and then I went back to the Guardians game, and I kind of followed along on the tracker on ESPN on my phone.
I think Thor Nystrom had the best tweet of the night. If you took the best elements from the NFL draft and the NBA draft, and you combined them both, you would have the NFL draft. I mean, it's and what about this idea? Like maybe just push back the NBA draft just a little bit. It just seems like
finals just ended.
Like football does it where they don't put the draft ahead of free agency.
Right.
They want the veterans to get the jobs first. It just seems a little backwards.
Which helps the team's draft. It just helps the franchises, right? Because now you've had your free agency period. You know where your holes are. Now you go to the draft, and it makes it a little more seamless. Plus, they're better with their pacing, the NFL. Try to occupy some of the media for as long as possible throughout the offseason.
Like, if you put the NBA draft, say, July 15th, like, what's the reason they have to have this, like,
Couldn't tell you. First week of August, even. I mean, what's the harm? I don't know.
Yeah.
Part of it might be the fact that the college season ends so much sooner. They want these guys to get with a team and get them acclimated as soon as possible.
Yeah, but a lot of them are playing summer ball anyway.
Yeah. You could do it you can't really do it in season not knowing the season results, but you could do it once the season ends, like before during the playoffs if you wanted, like a couple days in between. Or you push it back to mid-July, early August.
Right.
Yeah.
But by then you've got the summer league, and I don't know. It's tough because the seasons don't end at the same time. Like with the WNBA, it's right after March Madness, so that works out.
And then I totally understand because actually they have the season there coming up. Hockey does it the same way as we have the NHL draft tomorrow night, and that's even more foreign to me. That all right, I'm watching players that I've never seen play. I could go watch the highlights of some grainy footage or whatever it is, but the majority of these guys we don't know. You're hopeful. You're watching it for other reasons there.
That's the advantage NBA has a little bit because most of these guys are known. March Madness, people consume, it's huge. So why not capitalize on that and make your draft a bigger event and try to put it a little bit more distant from the finals to try to keep relevant in the zeitgeist here.
Yeah, and is it because we're not an NBA market here, Tim? Is it something where because when it comes to the NFL going into the draft, hey, who do you want? Cleveland number 2. My gosh, I would love if we had Travis Hunter. Everybody has an opinion about who you would want. I didn't hear any Philadelphia fans say this is I don't. Not hearing anything opinions. Nobody has a strong opinion about who they would want in the NBA draft.
Yeah, it's really tough not being in a spot where we care about the NBA as a whole. Like, there's NBA fans all over the place, but there's no collective thing locally that's like, oh yeah, this is what most of us care about. It's a conglomeration of just a bunch of people who like basketball who have a favorite team. Like, there's 3 of us in this room right now. We probably have 3 different favorite NBA teams. And that makes it tough because it's 3 different opinions, but the opinions aren't even the same thing. Like, our opinion is of our own team, not of the consensus of the league itself.
I know you're not necessarily a Cavs fan, but who do you identify?
By default, Cavs, but growing up I was a Mavs fan because of Dirk Nowitzki. But then LeBron came along and Cleveland ties and Cleveland guy, so that made it easy. So in the sense that, like, I have 2 favorite teams, which means I have no favorite team.
Yeah, and I know, Mike. I love the Celtics. I love Boston sports. No,
not at all.
Really?
Not at all. Actually, more of a fan of players. Like, I just like watching players. So I like Luka Doncic. That's my guy.
Okay.
Was watching a lot of Mavericks basketball, and obviously then abruptly was not. So now I'm watching the Lakers quite a bit. So I guess I'll pull for the Lakers, and when they're out, the Knicks.
Did you see this? Was it Yahoo? Somebody put out like the story about Luka Doncic and like how he's putting in the work, and they just put the thing underneath strict diet. Like, okay, but can you imagine? That would be the guy. Like, if he went under a physical transformation.
Oh, he is. He's putting in some work right now. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be something else. They need to get LeBron off that team. He's really holding us back.
Maybe the genie's out of the way. Who knows?
I don't know. Hopefully.
Mike Underwood. On-Track Auto Sales, which if you need a used car, this is the guy to go talk to.
Stop down and see us. Mention Chuck Muncie. We'll hook you up with a discount.
The Chuck Muncie discount.
That's it.
In effect. Did you were you old enough to watch Chuck Muncie on the field?
Unfortunately, it was not. Not that I recall. Just missed
him.
Yep.
So, all right. Well,
what a time.
Just go back and watch highlights.
I have done so with all the mention on this program. So I had to see what all the hubbub was about. What a player,
Mike! It's great. Yeah, I love doing this too because it means that the boss isn't here, Mike Danger, whenever you're in. So.
I know. I have a conspiracy theory that Mike Danger is like Batman. I've never seen Batman and Mike Danger in the same room. So just saying.
Could be.
It's out fighting crime. Maybe we don't know.
Look, I haven't talked to the guy in 2 weeks.
See?
Well, a couple texts we back and forth. But
I did say he publicly said that he missed you. So
wow,
that was adorable.
That's great.
I saw that.
What a friend.
Did you see this?
I didn't see it.
I saw this because he tagged me. I miss my buddy Gene Battaglia, and it's the goofy Met fan meme.
Yeah.
Like, this was after the Mets had
I may have
lost
seen that actually. I kind of
straight
forgot.
to the Braves, which they won last night. Mike, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. We'll take some of your calls coming up next. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Haley Wynn, PWHL. Second overall pick. She'll be joining us next hour as well. Along with Tim Schneider, my name is Gene Battaglia. This is The Fan, Rochester.
You're listening to The Sports Bar with Dave. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Buffalo Sabres trade J.J. Peterka. Peterka going to the Utah Mammoth. Marty Baron with his thoughts on the deal.
I still think you check the box right now by adding Kesselring and being a partner for Owen Power. I think that was a priority. The full value of Peterka was not maybe match in return, okay, but I'm saying the Sabres filled in the need, which is getting a right shot defenseman to play with Owen Power.
That defenseman Michael Kesselring, also for Josh Doan, the son of Shane Doan, coming over in the trade. Rochester Red Wings tonight hosting Syracuse. On the Major League scoreboard, we've got the Marlins with the early 3-0 lead in San Francisco. Bottom of 6, the Cubs up on the Cardinals 2-0. Dodgers and Rockies tied at 1 in the 4th. Astros leading the Phillies 1-0 in the 7th. Gene Battaglia, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Peterka to Utah in exchange for Kesselring and Doan.
Utah won the trade. Okay, Utah got the better player.
God bless Sabres fans.
The NHL draft.
The Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg.
Are there rumors still out there about J-Kidd? He will be the coach next year.
The Knicks are poised to interview James Borrego.
Colin Murray Boyles.
Oh, Canada.
The Utah Jazz select Arias Ace Bailey.
I don't think you get a cookie for yesterday.
No cookies. No cookies at all.
Mike Danger.
Here's what I know. I'm living to 150.
Gene Battaglia.
I haven't figured out Dan yet. I don't know. You have any thoughts on Dan DeLorean and what that is?
I think he's just a great producer who is able to put his allegiances aside to put together a good open.
Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you! 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
Dan probably listening to this as he's driving home, ready for vacation. Welcome to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia, Tim Schneider with you today. Mike Danger will be back on July 7th. Look, if you have the opportunity to go over for family, and if you're following Mike on social media, you can see a little vicariously, I guess, through him. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. We will talk to Haley Wynn. She is with the Boston Fleet, and she is the number 2 overall pick in the PWHL draft. You know, they just call it the P, Tim. Like players just
I
call
did not know that,
they
but
just call
good
it
to
the
know.
P. Yeah, they just call it the P. So that's, she's the number 2 overall pick, and we will be talking to proud Rochesterian. That's coming up at the bottom of this hour. You asked me a question as we were going to break. Now, if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, hello, you can leave a comment there as well. Yeah, I'm of a certain age where my eyes don't work.
Same.
Well, you always have worn glasses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the readers, and I remember where I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot do this. I'm on a family vacation, and actually, it's the first time we go to Disney, and it's one of these restaurants in Disney that the lighting isn't great. Everything's down low. The bill comes out, and it just looks like blah 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 blah. And then I'm like, okay, let me get my phone out because obviously it's too dark. I can't read this dark. And I put the flashlight on. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, what the heck do I do? I don't know. I'm like, what's wrong? I can't read this. It's too small. And yeah, this is why when does somebody need readers? Early 40s, mid 40s? Like, is that kind of when it starts to go south? Well, the point of this story is if you're watching on right now, I'm not trying to be cool with these glasses. This is actually kind of pathetic. The thing with readers, Tim, they are very cheap. If you go to BJ's, they sell them in bulk. Like they're not real glasses. You just buy them, and because they get tossed around or whatever, you break them. And I drove off this morning, and usually I pack up everything, laptop, notes, what do I need for the day? And I'm already here. I'm like, I don't have my readers. Oh, great. Well, these are my emergency readers. These are the ones I broke years and years ago. And you asked me a question, were these the Josh Allen readers? Is that what they're going to be known as, the Josh Allen readers?
I think so, yeah. I mean, that was a momentous moment. Like, I remember exactly where we all were. I remember exactly what we were doing. And I remember that you did it prior to the announcement because you were cheating on Twitter. So you had the answer.
Well, I had the answer. I'm with Masterstroke, and the Bills are on the clock. And I will say this. We all have to say this. Like, I didn't like the pick at the time. And I took my readers at the time. These were perfectly fine. And I smashed them down and broke my readers there. And who was taking video? Was it you or?
I believe it was Tim Thompson.
Tim Thompson.
There were a number of us there. It was him or Hausman had the video, but I know that it was captured by one of us.
Yep, and we were their buddy Spider, if you know Spider. I haven't seen Spider in years.
I've seen that, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But Spider's just talking in the video, and that's why it was never posted. I don't want that video ever to get out. Because it's like, honestly, it's like, and the announcement of, which, honestly, like, Tim Thompson could hold that over my head.
Yeah. I mean, the draft video from a couple months ago with I believe it was Josh Rosen. That might be with the megaphone. That was bad.
That was bad.
But this might be worse.
We did a little promotional video back then, and it was so corny. You know, it was really kind of like over the top. But yeah, I am on a street corner here in the High Falls with a megaphone, chasing random strangers down, saying why the Bills should drop Josh Rosen over Josh Allen. Like if you saw this today, like, okay, we're not hiring this guy. Number one, this is corny. It's not funny, and it's wrong.
My crowning achievement might actually be I wanted Josh Allen for the Browns, and they went Baker, which was fine. I'm not disappointed with that.
It was fine, and they didn't stick with him, which
that's
unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Sold their soul to the devil. But here we are. Josh Allen, great in Buffalo, and your glass is worse off for it.
866-4FAN, 866-4326. Caitlin Clark talk. Ready, buddy?
Yeah.
She's on a Tiger Woods level.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. When Tiger was in his prime, you would watch. Oh, my gosh, you would watch. And it was fantastic. And you love Tiger. You love greatness. And then when he wasn't in a regular tournament, you would always watch the majors regardless. But if he wasn't, playing in a tournament, you're not tuning in.
Right.
The saying was Tiger Woods didn't move the needle. He was the needle, right? That's where we are with Caitlin Clark. And I don't know how this league is going to respond because there's a lot of people sampling the WNBA. There's a lot less people who are bashing the WNBA. I think this has a place, and you can see it growing. And the basketball is I'm totally on board, but I'm also somebody that might be, hey, is Caitlin playing tonight or not? And this is where I'm going with. She's not playing tonight. So this game tonight, Prime Video against Los Angeles, probably they were hoping to get a lot of viewers. Now all of a sudden, are you tuning in for Indiana and Los Angeles without Caitlin Clark tonight? Again, I think it's I would draw an analogy to Tiger Woods. Now, Tiger Woods was winning majors. He was the best in the world. Caitlin Clark is do we say she's the best in the game today? She hasn't won a major yet. I don't know. She's the most compelling figure in women's sports today. That's hands down.
Oh, undoubtedly, yeah. Like, I've been, I don't want to go as far as saying a fan, but I've followed along with the WNBA for a long time. I remember, like, as a kid, I remember Cheryl Swoops. I remember, like, Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, like those guys or those women that dominated the women's college basketball game that went and turned pro in a somewhat fledgling league. Like, Brittany Griner, all those names, but not a single one of them made me tune into the WNBA. I just knew that they were there and existed, and the sport was a thing. With Caitlin Clark, like, I went to the Final Four 2 years ago.
Yes, you did.
Like, that, as an adult, me thinking of that as a kid, going to the women's Final Four, that would never have crossed my mind.
So you went to Albany for the regional, too. What was that experience like in Albany, New York?
It was incredible. Like, I could not believe how many people, like, I don't still consider myself a fan. That's too deep of a word, but I'm a follower. And I was invested in that weekend, and it was really cool to see how many people that aren't typical sports fans deeply invested, deeply intrigued by this product, and it's almost 100% due to Caitlin Clark. Of course, there's Angel Reese, and you had the South Carolina team that was dominant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a lot of storylines there, but without the Caitlin Clark part of it, I don't know how many people are drawn to the sport.
Yeah, good friend of the show, Evan Shoots Apple Mill. He, his wife and his daughter, okay, this is good. I don't know how old she was at the time. I'm going to guess 12 or something. Like, she's into, okay, you know what? Go to Cleveland. Go and pay the ticket price. See what this is like. Women at the top of the game and, historic Caitlin Clark making this run. And I think it's great. Now the question is, all right, the story is it's a groin injury. And here's the problem. There was also an injury to the quad. Well, they connected. And they're getting an MRI. So where they're saying dated, hey, Tim, for Caitlin Clark, we really don't know. She's getting beat up. So, and she's beat up because the last 3 games, she hasn't played all that well. So, yeah, something's off here. She's playing hurt. The question is, can this league still continue its momentum without their Tiger Woods here for a little bit?
The league will be fine because she's going to come back. But based on just the NBA the last month, you can't bring her back too soon. Otherwise, it's a devastating injury, and then you're screwed. So give her the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks she needs. She's already had a couple weeks, but she came back early, clearly. Give her the time that she needs so she can come back in full force and continue to boost this league's umbrella and let it burst. But you have to be healthy.
And if you're like, oh, I don't believe it. Here's an example. I went into the big box store that has, a lot of sporting goods.
Heard of it.
Yeah, and they sell jerseys. And you know where I'm going with this now. But, like, if I said to you, okay, like, what jerseys would be on sale in the big box store? Well, you have a lot of Bills jerseys. By the way, they're still selling Amari Cooper at full value. I don't think anybody's buying that. I would think that should go on the clearance rack. What do they think? Cooper's going to resign with the Bills here at some point? That's not happening. No. They had the Sabres. They had the Yankees, not the Mets. They had the Yankees, and they had. I just saw the jersey, and it took me a second to realize, what is that? Salesforce, Indiana. Oh, it's the Fever. That's Caitlin Clark's number. I'm like, holy mackerel.
And it sells, I bet.
It sells. And you'll have guys wearing Caitlin WNBA merchandise. So, like, the league has had some growing pains throughout this that you get other people trying to twist, which is just simple basketball and the life issues. We don't want that. We come to sports just to kind of escape, right? Don't read into it too much. You're making too much of it. But I think it's just kind of noteworthy that we're in a spot because were we ever selling Abby Wambach jerseys in the big box store? I don't think so.
Locally, maybe,
but
I highly doubt nationally.
Yeah,
like she was a national superstar, and she was a huge component of building that sport in the game. But Caitlin Clark is even a level above that. Just like seeing it in person, I will say, was way cooler than I would have expected. Seeing it on TV was interesting enough to make me go and see it in person.
Yeah.
But seeing it in person was next level. Like, I could not believe how the atmosphere was for her performance.
Yeah, I mean, now, like, women's fun, and I think they should get to a point. Give me a second here, because sometimes we go in directions I don't think we're going to go, and I didn't prepare this, so I'm just going to look. Future Final Four sites for women's basketball.
And that all changed recently, too. That got turned on its head a couple years ago when they had the I can't remember the word for it, but they had the discrepancy between the men's and the women's Final Four. That changed everything a couple years ago.
Yeah, so this is, okay, so it's through 2031. Okay, in 2029, it will be at the Alamo Dome. But Phoenix Arena, it's in Columbus in 27, Indy in 28, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Portland, Oregon, and then Dallas at the Mavericks Arena. So my point here was that maybe I would have thought that, okay, maybe they're going to move it to a dome here at some point, but between now and 2031, you're only going to have the Women's Final Four 1 year in a dome.
That's still a much, much larger spot than they were at 5 years ago.
Right, and I don't think, and they're still doing the super regional. I don't think we'll get a market like Albany again. These are the regional sites here.
That was a perfect storm of events, especially the teams that were there. That was a really, really cool experience.
These are all major league markets now. Next year, the sites are Fort Worth and Sacramento, Philadelphia, Vegas, 2028, Portland, and Washington.
They did do a great job with it. So hopefully, even the coaching staffs, all of them in their pressers, said that Albany was treating them very well. And they got the rub from the coaches. Maybe it's enough to get something like that back. But
except Rebecca Lobo. I didn't forget Rebecca. Well, good luck, something to do in Albany. Yeah, that's good, Rebecca. Thank you on that. She apologized. Should be nicer.
Because she was wrong.
She was wrong. Baseball. This should happen, right? So the All-Star game is in Atlanta, and if you are the superstar on your team, and most teams have somebody that would fit this category that goes up to the plate. We got the news today that Ronald Acuna will be participating in the Home Run Derby. Who's next here, Tim? Can we see Cal Riley? I feel like this is the one guy we maybe watched him against the Cubs over the weekend, but since he plays in Seattle, 31 homers, and we're not paying any attention to this guy from Seattle. Can we get him in the Home Run Derby, or is he going to take the route of seeing what happened to Aaron Judge a few years ago where, Aaron Judge won the Home Run Derby in Miami, and then he went into the tank?
I think he'll do it if he's offered, because he's having a year that is unmatched, and you kind of have to take that opportunity and run with it as from a player. You're doing something that is extremely notable from a position that is extremely notable. The more you make note of it, the more eyes are on it. You have to kind of build your own brand in that regard. You have to obviously then perform at the Home Run Derby, not just be in it.
Mm-hmm.
But if he puts on a show at the Home Run Derby, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see maybe Pete Alonso saying he's not going to be part of this, but give me Raleigh.
Ryan O'Hearn's already noted that he would participate.
Okay.
I don't think you have to be in the
you don't have to be
in the All-Star game.
In the All-Star game,
and I
right.
believe a couple of weeks ago, Cal Raleigh actually came out and said that if offered, he would.
He would.
And that's volunteering, so he will be offered, I'm sure, at this point. He leads the
you
majors in home
have
runs.
You have to. And it only makes sense that the first guy that they would put out there and say, hey, I'm in, is the guy who's, on his home field here. You want, it's good for the Braves fan base there that you think it's going to be the majority of fans there in attendance down there in suburban Atlanta. Home Run Derby is better than the All-Star game itself.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Growing up, I would have Home Run Derby parties. I would get my friends together. We would do Home Run Derby pools. You would pick out of the bracket. You would choose your own. We had a night of the Home Run Derby, not a night of the All-Star.
Yeah, Home Run Derby, the TV ratings show that, and it's more of a competition where the All-Star game,
it's a game.
It's
fun and relaxed, and there's not the competitive nature of it. In the Home Run Derby, they're serious. They don't want to embarrass themselves.
No.
It's fun.
It's fun, and there's a clock. It took them a while to get to this format, Tim. Before it was just kind of unlimited, and you're just throwing up. But now that you put the clock and you set in the rules and you have the breaks there, and let's be honest. Anytime there's a bracket, it's automatically more interesting.
Agreed. Yes.
Yeah.
The March Madness doesn't work the way that it does without the way that it's put together. The Home Run Derby, the same. There's still flaws. It's not a perfect formula. There's a lot of things that you could tinker with, which they have done over the years. But as a whole, the event itself is much more compelling to me than the All-Star game itself.
Hey, we might have labor peace in the NHL.
Yeah.
The
NHL,
yeah. So this is courtesy of Emily Kaplan that the two sides, the NHL and the NHLPA, are in the final stages of agreeing on a 4-year extension of a CBA. So the CBA, collective bargaining agreement, expiring not this September, but next September. But you never want to let it go to the last minute. And the one thing that is going to, I think, just be better, getting rid of 2 preseason games and making them 80 making them regular season games. So we're going to go from 82 to 84 regular season games. That might mean September regular season hockey, though, Tim.
I'm not sure how I feel about it just quite yet. I'm not opposed to more hockey. I just don't know how they make it feasible. Like, that's something that if I'm a union member, which would mean I'm a player, which I am not, I'm not sure how I feel about it. But if they've all bought into it already before we're even thinking about a strike or a stoppage, fine, do it.
This is kind of crazy, too, where they're not going to bump up the roster size as part of this. They're going to create a separate category here for e-bugs.
Okay.
The emergency backup goaltender, which is always kind of strange because you have one guy on site in an arena and say it's the Sabres and the Canadians and the e-bug. Oh, my gosh, we have one guy who's sick to his stomach and the other guy just got hurt. What do we do? And you have the guy sitting in a room and he, like legitimately that's the way it could have worked. Now you can hire a full-time e-bug where the e-bug would actually travel with the team, be part of the team.
That's really cool. Like, that kind of harkens back to so one of my college professors was Paul Whelan. He was the PR guy for the Sabres prior to going back to St. Bonaventure to become a teacher.
Was he an e-bug?
He kind of.
Okay.
He was the practice goalie, which by default, I guess in that era, I don't think that an emergency backup goalie existed by that name at least. But he would be the practice goalie, just getting peppered during practices. So that he would have been in today's day and age by default. Like, that's the hired guy. You're the practice goalie. You're the e-bug.
Yeah, the guy who beat the Maple Leafs driving the Zamboni. That's the old.
I forgot his name, but hilarious and unforgettable.
Unforgettable. You can hang that jersey, that sweater, and always have a story to tell.
That belongs in the Hall of Fame, like legitimately in the Hall of Fame.
Speaking of stories to tell, let's talk to Haley Wynn. She is with the Boston Fleet. She's a Webster native, number 2 overall. What's that like, going to be a draft? What was that like with the family? We will talk to Haley coming up next. My name is Gene Battaglia. Tim Schneider is here today, and this is 95.7 FM, AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
You're listening to update.
So the Sabres did trade J.J. Peterka, the center, going to the Utah Mammoth in exchange for defenseman Michael Kesselring and for Josh Doan. Peterka was due to become a restricted agent. Now he signs a 5-year deal with the Mammoth, averaging $7.7 million a year. Marty Baron giving his thoughts on Josh Doan.
Right now, he's still a prospect to a certain extent with 60-some NHL games, as you pointed, but I think there's a middle six there that could be attained by Josh Doan at some point here. I'm not talking in 5 years, in the near future. So I think that there is a good player.
Red Wings tonight at home playing Syracuse once again on the Major League scoreboard. Jays over the Guardians 6-0. Tigers defeated the A's by an 8-0 score. Cubbies are up on the Cardinals 2-0. They're in the 8th. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
You know, we do have one of the premier programs when it comes to development, Bishop Kearney, the BK Selects. And my gosh, we have one of the premier players in the PWHL now, too. She's now a pro, and she's joining us on the show, kind enough to give us a few minutes. Haley Wynn, defender for Boston, the Boston Fleet. Haley, congratulations. Thanks for your time. What was the whole experience like going up there for the draft?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It was incredible, obviously, definitely a whirlwind of events. I think you never really know what the experience is going to be like until you're there. I think leading up to it, kind of a lot of nerves, little anxious knots in the morning, but then when you're at the draft, when you're in the moment, and especially when your name's called, I mean, it's just so exciting, and to be able to share that moment with a lot of friends and family was super special.
Yeah, it's so unique, not just in sports where you don't know where you're going to go work. I mean, you could have gone to New York, you could have gone to Toronto, you could have gone to any of these markets. Did you have an inkling that Boston would be interested in your services prior to the draft, Haley?
Yeah, obviously. So you have some phone calls with the GMs before the draft, and I had an idea that Boston might be interested, but I think prior I thought I was going to have more of an idea set in stone of where I was going, and morning of, that was definitely not the case. I think that brought some more nerves, but yeah, I think Boston was definitely a high probability for me, but definitely not locked in. So I'm super excited that it worked out that way, and yeah, I'm so excited to be in Boston.
Yeah, Haley, let's give some credit to a former teammate of yours as well. You weren't the only Rochester product to get drafted. Your thoughts on Toronto in the second round, going with another former BK Select player, Kira Zanin. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, so awesome. Obviously, Kiara and I have been played on teams together, played against each other. We've been training on and off for the past 8-9 years, so we have a very close relationship, and it was just so cool to obviously be there with her. And it's super hard, once you get drafted, you're kind of pulled alongside for media for the next 2 hours. So you're trying to figure out who's going where and what's going on. And I remember, she got drafted, and I'm like, who drafted her? Because she got drafted right after a trade. So it was just so much chaos. I'm like trying to ask my family where she's going, and they're like, Vancouver. And then it's like Vancouver made the trade. So it was just so chaotic. And to see she's going to Toronto is so cool. And I actually got to catch up with her this morning, and we caught up about the whole experience, and I know she's super excited to be in Toronto, and yeah, it was just super cool to be there with someone, obviously so local.
Yeah, I mean, does that take away part of it where you get drafted, and then all of a sudden you got to do, how many interviews do you think you did that night right after it?
Oh, I probably like 10 to 15. You do interviews and you do pictures, and by the time you get back to your seat, you're like midway through the third round into the fourth round, so.
It started before. I thought it was kind of whoever's running the social for the league, I give them credit because they had this red carpet, but it was actually purple that kind of came in, and you and others top picks were going down there, and you're signing autographs. What's that? Was that the first time you ever walked something like the red carpet?
Yeah, definitely was a cool experience to just go down and kind of see how excited fans are and welcome you into the league before obviously it even happened. So just to see the support and people coming from all over. You know, you had fans that I like would show up at Clarkson games that went there just to see the event, obviously. So it was super cool to do that, and you know, it really made you obviously feel like a pro, and it kind of hits you like this is actually happening.
Yeah, Haley, it's also something where you're kind. This is still kind of relatively new. This league is growing. How do you like this role of being a role model here? Like, there are going to be a lot of young athletes they're going to be looking up to.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely a different role. I think it's an awesome role to be in, and I'm very grateful and blessed for the opportunity to be a role model, especially for young girls in the area. And I think that's so cool. And seeing girls look up to you and seeing girls want to take pictures with you, like that's what makes it worth it, and that's what makes you want to keep going, to make sure that, you know, they have people to look up to and that you can be that person. It's I wouldn't say it's a whirlwind, like we said. Like, it's all very new, and just trying to stay present and kind of soak it all in, and really just stay grounded and be where my feet are, because it's such a long journey. But if you think back, like I'm in the midst of living out my dream, so I'm really just trying to take it all in and enjoy it.
Yeah, Haley Wynn, second overall pick on the PWHL draft, going to the Boston Fleet. Haley is our guest. Who were some of the athletes you looked up to growing up in Rochester? Whether that was somebody from here, whether it was just maybe going against your brothers, like who are some of the people that you looked up to as a young athlete, Haley?
Yeah, definitely my brothers right off the bat. I have 3 older brothers that all played hockey, and that's really how I started, just my dad building a rink in the backyard, and then they played, and then I was just kind of born into it. So being able to just look up to them throughout the years, and they've helped me grow so much as a person and a player, and they're definitely tough on me growing up, but it made me who I am, and they're the most supportive people I have in my corner. So definitely them, and I think it's just cool growing up in Rochester, you know, being able to go to the Rochester American Games, and I was part of that youth organization growing up. So it was just super cool community to be a part of, and I think, looking up to some female athletes, like someone like Hillary Knight, who obviously isn't from around here, but has been like the face of women's hockey, and taking picture with her when I was 8 years old, and now being able to play in a league with her, and it's just it's surreal to think about, but it's super cool.
Yeah, and now you're leaving behind your time at Clarkson. How do you look back in your time for collegiate hockey, Haley?
Yeah, I loved my 4 years there. They definitely flew by. I wish it slowed down a little bit, but I have nothing but good things to say about that school and that program, and it was everything that I hoped for, and obviously formed some really close friendships and bonds, and was able to grow so much as a player, but really a person. I think that was very important for me. And then also at the draft, there was 2 other Clarkson girls that got drafted in the top 9. So to be able to share that with them, I've been playing with them for 4 years and call them some of my closest friends. So being able to experience that with them was also really special.
Haley, Boston's a fun town. When are you heading out there? How does what's next for you in terms of getting acclimated to your new town?
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about the city, so I'm excited to head out there. The season doesn't actually start till like mid-November, so I won't go to training camp until then, but I think I'll be heading out there like later July, August time, to just kind of explore around a little, probably meet some people and kind of settle in, and then the season will start in November.
Now, Haley, I want a team here in Rochester. I hope somebody would have that. And I know it's all kind of bigger markets, but this predates. It's another iteration. But we did have the Buffalo Buttes for a while, and I'm friends with Celeste Brown, the RIT women's head coach, and she was on that team for a little bit. Did you ever? Well, first of all, let me ask you this question. What would you think of maybe because we're going to have a game here in Buffalo coming up next season as part of that tour? Would you think Buffalo could support a team in the P, as they call it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope so. I think this community, the Rochester Buffalo area, is really growing with sports, and I think it'd be really cool to add a women's sports team. And like you said, there'll be a rivalry series game in Buffalo, and I hope that obviously has a positive outcome, and that will kind of hopefully lean them towards giving us a team here. But yeah, that would be awesome, especially just being so close to home.
And then for the Olympics, what's the outlook for you on that?
I mean, the Olympics has really been my dream, obviously, since I laced on the skates. I think, obviously, being able to play in a league and make this a career and a profession is incredible. And but it's not really something I could have dreamt of when I was younger because it wasn't a thing. It wasn't sustainable. So it really wasn't until college that I realized, I could do this for a living and play in the league. But the Olympics has been something that has been on my dream card for as long as I can remember. So with it being an Olympic year, it's obviously an exciting time, and entering the league and it being an Olympic year, it'll definitely be a crazy time. But I'm obviously going to do everything in my power to be on that roster. And things start up for that in August will be our first camp, and there's a 30-player roster that should be announced soon, and they have to get that down to 23. So.
Oh, okay, that's all right. So we're all going to be paying attention here. Haley, do we have your permission to check in here with you every so often? Because I think it's we're very. I don't know if you know this about Rochester. We're very provincial. Anything from Rochester, we love. And the fact that you and we don't want to maybe we'll get Kira on the show as well at some point. I just think it's kind of exciting that this league that's taking off. That we have two cornerstones here right from the Flower City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. I would love to keep checking in, and I know Kiara would love to do some stuff, and it's just cool that we're both local and able to do this stuff.
Well, Haley, congratulations again. Haley Wynn, second overall pick, defender for the Boston Fleet. Haley, thanks for your time today, and good luck during the upcoming camp.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Haley Wynn, our guest here, and that's going to be something we'll be paying attention to, the Olympic, which not everybody makes the team there. So
it is pretty cool how rich we are in certain sports around here. The women's program at Kearney is
off the charts.
Not many people know about it, but the ones that do, it's one of those, if you know, you know. If you take a peek at some of the marquee athletes at Division I women's hockey programs, a lot of them have ties to the Bishop Kearney Selects women's program. It's an insane amount of people, and it's boomed pretty rapidly over the last 5 or 10 years. There are a number of world champions, the U.S. team, cluttered with them, and it's really cool that one of they come from different areas in the states, but to have one actually in our back door, born and raised, two of them actually, pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean you will have top picks in the NHL draft coming from the Bishop Kearney Selects. That's outstanding. I mean, hockey is up there. Lacrosse, certainly. For times soccer.
Hockey, lacrosse, every once in a while,
well, the NBA, too. The idea that we have 4 NBA players from Rochester.
Pretty awesome.
It is pretty awesome,
could field, by definition, you could field a professional basketball team from the Rochester area. Pretty neat.
Yeah. Nela Lupsanova is the player we had. She's going to be playing in Wisconsin, and she's probably going to be probably in the Olympics, too, here coming up. Let's take a break. We'll go over some of the stories here in the NFL, and you're telling me about this bean brawl thing in Cleveland today. Yeah, somebody got hurt out of this.
Couple people.
A star of the game. And I'm not talking a guy who makes $10 million. I'm talking a guy who makes hundreds of millions over the life of a contract. Okay, at what point is the commissioner going to say, okay, that's enough, everyone? And was today a tipping point? We will get to that. 866-4FAN, 866-4326 with Tim Schneider. I'm Gene Battaglia. This is The Fan Rochester.
Sports leader, The Fan Rochester at home by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
So no Red Wing game tonight. They just announced that it's going to be postponed, which, okay, I don't know the reason, but I can tell you this, it's not raining here. It hasn't rained in downtown. I'm looking at the forecast. Unless they're looking at something different. It doesn't look like there's going to be any rain tonight, but then again, I don't know what the field conditions are there, Timmy. So we'll do a doubleheader tomorrow, 4 o'clock, which... All right, so if you're going to the doubleheader, you know who's coming into town tomorrow? Doc Gooden.
Doc Gooden and our boy Bruce.
Oh, wow. You get the... So is that just for the normal scheduled game, which would be like at 6:30-ish, or are you...
He's out here making history. Maybe he'll double dip.
Yeah, double dip.
I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find out. Go to both games and find out.
Yeah. Doc Gooden being signing some autographs. Well... No game tonight for the Red Wings. That video from Colorado last night, I put this up on my X feed. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. So the first thing you kind of notice, right, it's a downpour. And usually, and I've done this before, like, okay, it's raining. Who cares? Okay, if they're playing ball, I'm going to, sit here and it's summertime and, okay, the rain's coming down. I'm wet. Who cares? I'll watch. No. Everybody behind home plate is filing. So there is nobody. So it's a strange piece of video that you'll see where everybody in the Rocky Stadium is leaving. That's how hard it's coming down. There's no hero. So everybody is cramming their way going up the lines like, okay, we're out of here.
Yeah, you've got a mass exodus while the game is underway in front of them.
Yeah, so there's a Dodger up at the plate, and there's pouring rain coming down. It's like, why are they even doing this? And the Dodger hits this pop-up, and both the second baseman and first baseman have it in their sights for a second, but then they start to cover their mitt with their head because they lose it and they don't want to get bonked in the head, and it ends up falling. I don't know how they scored that. I would think they'd have to score that a base hit, right?
They did. I know this for fantasy baseball purposes because I was the possessor of the pitcher that got the runs that came in. So yeah, that was ruled a hit, even though it wasn't an error.
Okay,
but it was an error.
What league are you in that you need to come into my league? You own a Rockies pitcher?
It's Chase Dollander. It's a 20 team dynasty league. I've got 35
Oh my
roster
gosh,
spots.
PU. Get a middle reliever. Get somebody who's not going to torch. You actually started a Rocky at home against the Dodgers. What are you doing?
I'm up 8-1 and figured that I would just get the strikeout numbers. But
yeah.
He had an all right game, all things considered. Without that, who knows how much better it might have been.
The story today from baseball, if you're just kind of looking at this, all right, we've got the Jays winning over the Guardians, 6-0 the final. Jays are starting to kind of turn around. Your guy, Ernie Clement, didn't get a base hit, but his average is up to 303 now.
Yeah, I think he's got a batting average over 400 over the last 25 days or something. He's on a heater, and he's looking good. And if Jose Ramirez didn't exist, which might be a little bit of a tease there, and Junior Caminero, Ernie's right there as far as third basemen go in all-star potential.
Who's the biggest star on the Blue Jays?
Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Who's the biggest star on the Guardians?
Jose Ramirez.
Both Jose Ramirez and Vlad Guerrero Jr. left today's game because we had ourselves a little beanball roll. Okay, so Tanner Beebe first hit Vladdy in the third inning. So he stayed in for a little bit and then had to be pulled. But, can't do that. Kevin Gausman, who didn't get kicked out, by the way, he hits Jose Ramirez in the forearm. Wait a second. I thought, automatically, Ramirez stayed in the game, but then he also was taken out. So they've done x-rays on Vladdy, and they were negative, but not sure, whether this is going to lead to him needing a day or two or something even a little bit more there. But shouldn't this be a warning? Shouldn't be, at what point does somebody get hit and you're breaking something? Tim, we had Ohtani getting hit. We had Fernando Tatis getting hit. What is with the testosterone in Major League Baseball?
The game kind of policed itself for a long time this way, and then it died out a little bit. And in the last 2 weeks, it's returning, and Vlad got hit yesterday as well. That might be why they didn't toss Gossman for hitting Ramirez today, because it was 2-0 in as far as that goes. So J-Ram takes his clunk. Vogt, the manager for Cleveland, very upset, but that's just kind of how baseball, like, it's an unwritten rule, like, that you had to expect it. Probably so. But if it's resulting in injuries to the game's superstars, you got to turn that off.
Yeah, and so Ramirez also got x-rays, and they were negative. But, this is the point where, all right, what are we doing? Because the next time, guess what's going to happen?
Somebody's going to get hurt,
somebody's going to get hurt,
it's going to be a full-out brawl like we had the other day in San Diego and L.A. there. Like, suspensions. Like, this was a one-and-done probably with Toronto. They're done with the series, and Vlad had been hit the night before, so I sort of understand it. But also, if you are damaging your sport by injuring your stars, all you're doing is hurting the game.
Right. So Friday night, will Vladdy be in the lineup? Will Ramirez be in the lineup? Like, what are we doing here? It's a game that's such a grind, Tim, anyways, that particularly for a pitcher, injuries are going to happen. But yeah, is this is this normal? And I'm going to say it's not. Like, we're getting to this point.
If you're hitting the head or the hands, then it's not good. But also, typically, hopefully, that is not on purpose. So there's something going on in baseball where you kind of have to respond if you're getting hit twice in a row. If your guy's getting hit twice in a row, intentional or not, you can't just let that go by the wayside. But also, if it results in a long-term injury to the person that you're hitting, you're doing a detriment to the sport.
So this is funny. Who's the joke of baseball right now? It's no longer the White Sox. It's the Rockies. Well, how can we fix this? Do we bring in some outside help? Are we trading whatever talent that we have on the field and getting more prospects? What are we doing? What is the plan in Colorado? Owner Dick Monfort today promoting his oldest son to executive vice president.
Yikes. Well, I mean, that's one way to take care of it.
Oh, boy. Yep. Walker Monfort will be taking over outgoing president and COO Greg Fiesel. So Greg Fiesel is stepping down. He was there from, 30 years? Not quite the whole time, but pretty darn close. So the team president, he's out. And I don't know the logistics there, or the backstory, I should say. Like, did the guy step down because he's retiring? I don't know. It's kind of a weird time to retire, is it not? Like, when you're going in a losing streak, seems like, okay, you're the fall guy, you're out. But you know what? I'm going to put Junior in there, and everything's going to turn around. And by the way, is there Walker Monfort?
That is a Vanderbilt name if I've ever seen one. But I've heard, I mean, I'm not incorrect in this one. This is 100% true.
Okay, full story. You were your job in another world. You deal with some baseball. You're in the baseball collectible business. We'll say that,
yeah. No, I was actually about to tell a huge lie. Nepotism always works.
Oh,
always. Yeah.
Oh, that has nothing to do. I thought you had some like
not an actual nugget. It was I guess I brought it in so well that I tricked even you, but I have not dealt with any Rockies in my time doing the top stuff.
Yeah, I would think that that's not an organization you want to go to. Now that the team president is the owner's son, which ergo, when the owner someday goes to wherever you go to after this world, the team president will be the new owner. Like, oh, okay, that's.
There's a reason they're 10 and 112. So the Rockies in bad shape, about to get worse. And yesterday's little black eye with the rain delay or lack of, not really sure how that even came into a possibility. Like the grounds crew was ready. Whose call is it? Is it the umpire?
It's the umpire. It's 100% the umpire. Yeah, the umpire should be like
bad on them.
That is terrible.
I understand wanting to finish the at-bat, but to actually force them into a potentially dangerous situation is pretty crazy, especially when the team stinks to begin with.
We've got time for your calls coming up. It's called Happy Hour. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Red Wing game tonight. Postponed. Doubleheader coming up tomorrow. Time for your calls. We'll read some of your posts here on X as well. Gene Battaglia with Tim Schneider today. Danger is out this week here on the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Ball. Rochester. And streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports update.
Due to poor field conditions, the Rochester Red Wing game tonight against the Syracuse Mets postponed. They will do a doubleheader tomorrow starting at 4:05. Sabres trading J.J. Peterka while you were sleeping last night. He goes to Utah. This is in exchange for defenseman Michael Kesselring and a forward in Josh Doan. Marty Perron giving his thoughts.
I still think you check the box right now by adding Kesselring and being a partner for Owen Power. I think that was a priority. The full value of Peterka was not maybe match in return, okay, but I'm saying the Sabres filled in the needs, which is getting a right shot defenseman to play with Owen Power.
The red-hot Tampa Bay Rays get another win, 4-0 today in Kansas City. Jays over the Guardians, 6-0. Phillies fall to Houston, 2-1. Giants and Marlins tied at 5 in the fourth. Gene Battaglia, The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Peterka to Utah in exchange for Kesselring and Doan.
Utah won the trade. Okay, Utah got the better player.
God bless Sabres fans.
The NHL draft. The Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg.
Are there rumors still out there about J-Kidd? He will be the coach next year.
The Knicks are poised to interview James Borrego.
Colin Murray Boyles.
Oh, Canada.
The Utah Jazz select Arias Ace Bailey.
I don't think you get a cookie for yesterday.
No cookies at all.
Mike Danger.
Here's what I know. I'm living to 150.
Gene Battaglia.
I haven't figured out Dan yet. I don't know. You have any thoughts on Dan DeLorean, what that is?
I think he's just a great producer who is able to put his allegiances aside to put together a good open.
Oh, thank you! Thank you! Thank you!
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan. Rochester.
It's happy hour here in the Sports Bar. Welcome. You have found us. Appreciate you listening or maybe even watching. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitch. We're on 95.7 FM. We're on AM 950. We are in the free-to-download Odyssey app streaming. Lots of different platforms. Gene Battaglia with Terrible Take, Timmy. And you wore your plates hat in honor of the plates. Was it going to be a plates game tonight?
Yeah, every Thursday's a plates game.
It's every Thursday now, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
I thought they kind of dialed it back a little.
I think they have two different forms of the plates. They wear a yellow and a black, and it confuses people.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's not happening tonight, Tim.
Not at all.
If you want your plate, you're going to have to go somewhere else. As we mentioned in the update, poor field conditions. If you like to talk about the NBA draft, that's fine. That's our number, 866-4FAN, 866-4326. I am going to give you my word that I do not have one foot out the door here today. This is going to be our last hour here until July 7th. So we do this every year in the Sports Bar. We're going to take the week of the 4th of July off. I say we, Tim. Danger's been off for he's over in Europe, and the trip of a lifetime, and I'm sure he'll have stories when we get back. When we are back on July 7th, it feels like football season. We're going to be on the eve of football season here today. We did have one football note today, and it's kind of one of these unsavory kind of notes. The NFL dropping the hammer on Justin Tucker. So the Ravens released Justin Tucker. I don't know when it was. It was recently. It was after the season. Justin Tucker now suspended by the NFL for conduct, violating their policy. And if you need to know what happened, well, just think Deshaun Watson, and it's along those lines here. 10 games, but Tim, I don't think with a kicker that was coming off his worst season professionally, even though at his peak, you could say he was the best in the game, even though if he continued on for another 3-4 years, we'd be having a debate. Is he going to be another kicker that goes into the Hall of Fame? I don't think he gets another kick in this league here.
I think that if this was notwithstanding, he's a Hall of Famer. Now with this, kind of throws a wrench into the reality of the situation is, are you judged just by what you did on the field? Not always.
No, and in like the Deshaun Watson situation, where Watson denied, but then he settled. So why are you settling? We haven't even gotten to that settlement part here yet. These are just accusations, things that the NFL does not want to ever be associated with. But Justin Tucker's not going to challenge this 10-game suspension. He's going to be back in mid-November if some team would take him. But hard for me to think. We're not talking about a quarterback here. We're not talking about a position. Kickers are a dime a dozen. They come, they go. And for Justin Tucker, you did this to yourself. This wasn't a bad decision. This wasn't a bad night. This was alleged predatory behavior that for some reason in your deranged mind, allegedly, you thought was okay.
Yeah, it's dicey because it took so, not to rationalize any of it, but like it took so long for it to come out. But then there were so many of them.
Well, it also is like how do people not know? I guess like was the media like these are all fair questions. Was the team turning a blind eye? Was the media turning a blind eye? We didn't know about Deshaun Watson, and then everything happened.
One becomes 25 becomes there's smoke here. There's fire here.
Yeah.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
And Deshaun Watson was younger and at a position that is highly necessary. So the Browns, doing what the Browns do, decided to give him an opportunity, even though he clearly displayed that he was no longer close to, one, the value they gave up, two, the person that they thought they were getting.
Well, we have a saying in the sports bar, but I don't know. If Danger was here, this is what I would debate. Like, everyone deserves a second chance. No, they don't. You're a professional athlete. Privilege. It's a privilege to go out and do what it is you're doing. And look, if you make an honest mistake, sure, you get a second chance. But there are some crimes I don't think you get a second chance for.
Yeah, this, again, not technically criminal, but definitely something that you want to not be associated with, especially should more information come out and it becomes criminal or even civil. Like, you don't want to be involved in stuff like this.
Let's move on here. Let's talk a little about the Paterka trade. Who's playing center for the Sabres next year?
Possibly Tage Thompson. Josh Norris, if healthy.
Okay. Lindy Ruff said previously that he thinks Thompson would be better served going to wing. Okay, well, maybe out of numbers he's back there, and that's not a bad number one center to have, certainly. Norris is a 2. Okay, I hope he's healthy and everything. With the Paterka trade, okay, and you know Marty Ron point out, okay, maybe this is somebody that this defenseman Kesselring who has a little bit of muscle. You put him alongside Owen Power. Okay, maybe it's a guy that will fill that role. Josh Stone's not ready for to be a top 6 forward in this league, not even close. Here's where we are with Buffalo Sabres hockey. They'll make a trade, and none of us will like it. We'll all hate it. But the thing that's unusual about this, if there is one person that I trust, and you should trust, is Paul Hamilton, our friend from WGR in Buffalo, who has been covering this team going back to, Ted Nolan of the Goatheads, all right? Paul has...
The glory days.
Yeah. Paul,
who would have known?
He's been there, seen that, talked to people, knows everything. And with Paul, when we talked to him yesterday prior to this trade, this all didn't add up.
I think they are still holding out hope that they don't have to trade him. I think this is completely agent-oriented. J.J. Paterka gave no indication at all in locker clean-out interviews with us that he was unhappy. He basically had a smile on his face. He was talking about playing for Lindy Ruff. He was talking about where he could improve his game. Just no indication at all he was unhappy. And he has a agent who will do things like that. It's like, we're going to get you to a bigger market where you can make more money, and they'll be willing to pay you. And, you'll have a city you'll be happy in because there's 9,000 things to do. And, are you happy in Buffalo? I mean, is there really anything to do there? It just seems to me that Alan Walsh convinced him that maybe he needs to move because there was just zero indication at all that he was unhappy being in Buffalo or anything like that. So I think the Sabres are still holding out hope that maybe they can convince Paterka that this is the place that, you want to be. Because if some player player or if the agent is staunch on saying the player doesn't want to be here, well, Kevin Adams doesn't want players that don't want to be here. So in which case then, yeah, the trade would likely be made. But now you got two holes in your top six then, because to me, you got to get Benson out of your top six. He might eventually become a top six player, and I like the way he plays, but he doesn't belong there right now. You get almost no production out of him, out of your top six guy. So if Peterka goes, now you got two holes in your top six.
Yeah, how's everybody feeling there? Yay, Sabres. Let's start here, Tim. Utah is going to be good this year. I believe these reports. My sense is new owner, new market, year number one. Okay, we got to cook this so quickly, and the move had to happen so fast. We can't even have time to name the team. Okay, we barely got uniforms. Okay, Utah is going to be a player come free agency. Wouldn't surprise me at all. You could roll the tape on this if they ended up with Marner, something like that. Like, we need to make a statement here. They're going to go out and they're going to go shopping. And in the Western Conference, okay, great, congratulations. The Western Conference, I don't know if it's quite like the Eastern Conference in the NBA, but you can cook up a team pretty quickly. J.J. Peterka, where I heard Paul's comments. I understand, like, I'm not going to fault the agent at all. I think he put his client in a better spot. $7.7 million a year he just pulled down. That was part of the deal too, that, you know, he got that done. So the thing is, okay, do you want to live in Buffalo or do you want to live in Salt Lake City? To me, like, okay, they're both fine cities. They're not destination cities, let's be honest. Salt Lake City, I'm sure, has beautiful scenery, but, you know, Buffalo has its perks too. I think, Tim, you don't make that trade unless there's another plan for Buffalo. Who is playing center for this team next year?
There better be a plan.
It can't be Yuri Kulik.
It could be. That might be a problem. But that's the thing.
What are we doing?
We're sitting in a spot again for it feels like the 50th year in a row. It's only 15, but it feels like forever, where the Sabres have a plan, but the plan hasn't worked. So you go out, you move an asset. J.J. Peterka is a good young player, a great young player. He's 23 years old.
Yeah.
Like, granted, the guys they brought in, young and promising, but you've already got young and promising. Why would you get rid of young and promising just for different bodies, different beings? Like, you've got a need on the defensive, on the blue line. You had to bring in somebody. Great. You did it, but you got rid of an asset to do so, and you brought in basically Shane Doan's kid. Like, all we do, Kevin Adams knows a guy who's got a kid, and he gets to play. It's like the fifth time this has happened. Not to say that Shane Doan's kid he does deserve a name. His name is Josh. Josh Doan might be actually good, but J.J. Peterka has already proven to be actually good. You had to pay him. That's fine. But now you have to pay somebody else to take that spot anyway.
Well, the thing that drives me nuts here, Tim, is like if this is the move and it doesn't follow up with another move, like if the idea is, hey, we really like Kesselring, and we're going to use this money on Peterka in another spot. Okay, fantastic. How are you upgrading the roster? And you could say also, Tim, too, hey, this team failed last year and the year before that and the year before that. So in the last 3 years, I don't know if there's anybody that's untouchable on this team. Who's untouchable on this team?
Tage Thompson, and that's probably it.
I'd listen to an offer for Darlene, honestly.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Tage Thompson's the only one that you're not touching on this Sabres.
Darlene makes too many mistakes. I'm sorry. He is not a true alpha number one defenseman.
He is a great player. I will concede that. He is not the player that we drafted to be number one overall.
Nope.
Neither is Owen Power, and that seems to be the recurring theme here in Buffalo, is that you've got Kevin Adams trying and trying and trying, but failing and failing and failing, and there's nothing to show for it for the 15th straight year, 5 with him at the reins of being GM, and all we're doing is losing. And all we do, like I said for 3 days, wake up and do nothing challenge. Last night he does something, and it still needs him to do more.
It was I'm seeing, like, in my feed, Peterka trade, and like, this isn't good because I don't know where he went. And the first few tweets I'm seeing, I don't see any excitement about what's coming back in the other direction. And again, with all these trades, I don't know if there's a trade that would actually get people excited, but I'll tell you, this ain't it. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Our buddy Tom in Rochester. What's up, Tommy?
Hey, guys. Love the show, as always. Listen, my view, this is a hockey hotbed, right? Western New York. Rochester, Buffalo. We're blessed with a pro franchise in Buffalo. We're very reminiscent now of just historically bad NBA franchises. We're looking around going, how is this possible, right? That we're so mediocre or bad for so many years. And again, I'm going to say it, he saved the franchise from potentially leaving, but you have to look at the owner, the commitment of the owner, the leadership of the owner, right? Does he want to win? Is he just more enamored now with the Bills than he was the Sabres? Hockey was his love. Look what he's done at Penn State for that program. Because I can't believe an owner who cares deeply about a sport would allow this to happen. And you have to question that.
Yeah.
And anyone who's an agent of a player, much like the NBA, does not want their player in dysfunctional organizations. It's as simple as that. And I can't blame a good player who wants out of Buffalo. I don't think anyone can blame a good player. You have to look at the owner because it's top down.
Wow. Great call, Tom. Appreciate that. We could be pointing at Kevin Adams, or who's the guy who hired Kevin Adams?
Well, at the end of the day, yes. The answer is ownership and Terry Pegula.
Yeah, there's a Terry Pegula kind of pop culture reference I want to make here, and I just want to say, I'm going to not offer any spoilers here. Tim, did you watch any of the Bear last night?
I have not. I was enamored by, the number one overall pick, and then I watched the Guardian.
See, that's the difference. You are a single guy. You can do this stuff.
Yes.
For me and the executive producer, all right, some nights it's Mets baseball night. Last night was not. So we watched the first 2 episodes of The Bear. I'm not going to tell you anything about this, okay? Because, 1, not everybody's into it, and that's bad radio. Number 2, I don't want people that are into it. But there's a quote in there, okay? And the quote is this. So the main character, not to be confused with Jeremy White from WJR, it's Jeremy Allen White. And Jeremy Allen White, who is the main character, chef, and it's his sister, and his sister says, you love this, meaning the business, but you're not in love with it anymore.
It's pretty striking.
And that's okay. You can recognize that you're not in love with this anymore. And I'm wondering, okay, where does this take the storyline to? And that's exactly where, oh my gosh, that's Terry Pegula. He loved this. He was a micromanager with the Sabres for so much, and he's not in love with it anymore. Like what Tom just said, his eye is on the Bills. His eye, and it's okay. It's totally okay. And if the Sabres are a team that maybe gets sold someday to a local outfit, or not even local, somebody that says, you know what, I'm keeping the team here in Buffalo, it's okay. But is anything really going to change? The Kekalainen is the biggest hope. Your biggest hope isn't will Michael Kesselring or will Josh Doan actually deliver, or will the number 9 overall pick? No. No, the hope is that the GM they hired is actually going to do GM things, and they start to beef this up.
So the problem here, as a fan who's been here in this region for his entire life, we have decided that it is simply okay to have a team. Like, it is great that Terry Pegula saved the Sabres from relocating. It is awesome that Tom Golisano did the same thing. But because of that, simply having an NHL franchise has been determined to be acceptable. And we are in year 15 of a playoff drought, year forever of a championship drought. Just having a team and it missing the playoffs every damn year, no longer okay. And of course, if he changes, if he gets rid of the team, if a new owner comes in and he keeps him here, Like back in the day when Pagula bought the team, I remember I brought him up earlier today. Paul Whelan said this Buffalo Sabres franchise will never do anything with Tom Golisano as owner until he sells the team. And I broke the story in class that Terry Pagula broke the team, and the entire class erupted in cheers.
Wait a second. Time out. I'm not going to allow for Tom Golisano slander. Tom Golisano as Sabre owner was light years ahead. They made it, to the conference finals twice under his watch. Why would your professor even say such a stupid thing?
Because let me go back to that. Because back then, the Stanley Cup was the goal. They were making the playoffs every year. That wasn't good enough.
Wow. Well, look, you keep receipts on that. Was that the same professor who said that your voice needed to be important, you would never make it in radio?
No, different guy.
Different guy. I'm just pointing out, look, St. Bonaventure, yeah, that's a questionable take there. No, I'm not gonna tolerate any. Tommy G's our guy. Think about Tom Golisano. There was one time that they had. I miss when they would put professional boxing. The guy down off of not Empire, but the local boxing guy. Anyways, he would put on these cards at the baseball stadium, and there was one time I'm like, wow, and I'm sitting there, and there's Tom Modrak, who was the Bills' assistant GM, and then I look over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Golisano's at the table right next to me here, and it was local boxing. Anyways, but point is that Golisano was spending a little more time in Rochester.
Yeah, he was a good owner, and he kept the team here. That was a huge thing.
Yep.
But just taking a team as a consolation, it's not good enough. We need to make the playoffs and actually do something once we're there.
Well, the thing is, too, what leads to profit?
Winning.
Win something. It drives me nuts with these owners. If you're a Pirates owner or any of these, there's over a half dozen teams in baseball that don't try. And yes, because they're guaranteed this is our budget and that's our budget, and then let's see what happens. Oh, it didn't happen again. Oh, well, we got some prospects. We'll try again next year. That doesn't work. You have to be forward thinking, and how are you going to get fans excited? And even in the drought era of the Buffalo Bills, Tim, the Bills at least had the wherewithal to, we're going to give you some hope. We're going to try to spend a little money. We're going to try to do this.
Part of that was manufactured, too, because they never really had a chance some of those years, but there was always promise of what if?
What if? I think by the end, we're like, okay, just entertain me. Ooh, we got Rex Ryan. Yay!
Right, the entertainment was there. Terrell Owens, he was really never going to move that to the next spot.
No,
he was already washed, but it's a fun story.
He wasn't... T.O. made us relevant. That was as exciting as anything. When T.O. signed in Buffalo, I remember, no, that can't be right.
I remember the same with Mario Williams, but even that.
Mario Williams was drawn out over a few days. We all knew, hey, will the fiance like Buffalo? Oh, here she comes. It was a week-long. Jim Kelly and there were a lot of things that kind of went into that. The T.O. thing was just quick and sudden and was on a weekend. I'm like, no, you're kidding me. Wow. My father-in-law called me up. Hey, you got T.O. I'm like, what? No, we're not believing that. We got other stories to get to here in Happy Hour. We call them shots here in the sports bar as, hey, Tim, the Rays won again.
They're on a heater.
We got a problem, though. Baseball has a problem here. We will explain here, and I think it's actually going to be kind of embarrassing. What is that with which sport is getting in a little bit of a rough spot here as well. We got some stadium news in the NFL today. One good for your team, and the other, I'm not so sure if this would work or not. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. This is the Fan Rochester.
update.
Red Wing game tonight postponed due to field conditions. They'll do that as part of a doubleheader at 4:05 tomorrow. The team taking on Syracuse. Sabres trading J.J. Peterka, center going to the Utah Mammoth. This in exchange for defenseman Michael Kesselring and a forward in Josh Doan. Marty Baron giving more thoughts on Doan.
Right now, he's still a prospect to a certain extent with 60-some NHL games, as you pointed, but I think there's a middle six there that could be attained by Josh Doan at some point here. I'm not talking in 5 years, in the near future. So I think that there is a good player.
On the Major League Scoreboard, Cubs shutting out the Cardinals 3-0. Rays shutting out the Royals 4-0. As the Astros over the Phillies by a 2-1 score, Jays get a win over Cleveland 6-0. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Yeah, before we get to shots here in the sports bar, they're finally underway, Tim. How long was that rain delay? Seattle and Minnesota. When was that supposed to be at 2 o'clock? 1 o'clock
it was
first
a
pitch?
noon or a 1. So
What?
they waited damn near 2 full game lengths to get this in.
How many people you actually think are just kind of sitting around there in Minnesota?
There
after
might be an after-work walk-up crowd now than who is actually going to be there.
Yeah, that's always when you get these getaway days, they have to do anything to find a way to get the game in. Like, for example, the Red Wings, okay, the field's a little underwater. Yeah, we'll do it a doubleheader tomorrow. If this were Sunday, well, I guess Syracuse is the bad example because Syracuse is coming back into town. But say it was a team you're only seeing once a year. They will bend the rules, find everything. You want to do whatever you can to get that game in. Welcome back to the Sports Bar. Gene Battaglia here with Tim Schneider here. Happy summer, everyone. And, well, happy NHL Labor Peace. There's 1 year left for the CBA and the NHL. Emily Kaplan of ESPN and others reporting that there is a 4-year agreement in place. It's not official, but a couple things that are interesting. The big headline story you're going to read about this tonight. This is going to push the league going from 82 to 84 regular season games. By going to 84, this would mean every team would visit each other once, while the number of divisional games would be at 4. 2 preseason games would also be lopped off. Okay, all good. Means we could have September hockey, though, which going against the NFL, college football in the U.S., maybe not a great thing. I'm also wondering, too, Tim, does this mean the AHL gets an expanded schedule?
I would highly doubt that, considering they have gone down over the years from 82 to 80 to now 76. So
they're at 76, okay.
Yeah, I think that's probably sticking where it is at, but I suppose it opens up the possibility.
I guess if you're going to start a week earlier or 2 weeks earlier in the NHL, then you're going to have the season will be longer. Maybe you get less 3-3s there. It's something they're planning for. The AHL meetings, by the way, are this week, which, again, there's no off season in this sport. It's just kind of
right. The season literally ended on Monday for the American Hockey League, and they're right back at it for the next season before the week is even over.
Yep. You are not Mr. Schedule guy when it comes to the NFL. I highly doubt you're Mr. Schedule guy when it comes to the NHL. Some people like that. I'm just like, oh, there it is. July 16th is the day we're going to get the NHL schedule.
Yeah, I saw that. It was funny. I saw it on Twitter a couple of days ago, and they made an announcement for the announcement that the announcement is coming soon. So, whatever. Just post it, and I'll see it when I see it.
The Tampa Bay Rays won again today.
They did.
Yeah, they are such a fun team. No stars. They run the bases. They mash. They pitch really, really well. Since May 20th, they're now 25-9. That's the best record in baseball in that stretch. Maybe they're going to overtake the Yankees at some point. I'm not joking. So we're projecting this team right now as a playoff team. Ruh-roh. We got an issue. The stadium. Major League Baseball has not approved Steinbrenner Field for either the ALCS or the World Series. Being discussed right now are alternate sites such as Atlanta, Miami. Who wants the Rays coming up this postseason? And furthermore, is that fair? Steinbrenner Field, It's smaller than Innovative Field here in Rochester. The Yankees minor league stadium holding 10,046.
That's pretty crazy, and I think that they just have to find a non-host site that it'd be a neutral site and deal with it. I guess like Milwaukee's done it for teams before.
We're talking different. This is the postseason.
No, I know.
This is right.
They can't just have a 7-game series in one spot.
It's Miami. Miami isn't making the postseason. Miami has the dome, so you eliminate. But then again, it's kind of hurricane season. So do you want that? Are you opening up to?
If Miami was there, they'd do it. So I guess you kind of have fortunately, they've got a few months to figure it out, and perhaps they might not even need to. But while we're on the topic of Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Ow. It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Tampa Bay shortstop Wander Franco found guilty of sexual abuse of a minor in the Dominican Republic.
Oh, what's the punishment for that in the DR, Tim?
A 2-year prison sentence, according to ESPN's Juan Arturo Recio.
Well, what is so weird about the whole... Well, there are many things that are weird. Let me just talk about one of them. The frugal Rays, and they're frugal for a reason, right? Maybe it changes when they do get a new owner in a stadium and blah, blah, blah. They gave the money to that guy right off the bat. Like, did you not do your due diligence on this?
Clearly not.
No.
Because that is a big thing.
Yeah, well, when it comes to baseball contracts and the Rays out of it, okay, so 2 years in jail. He doesn't get another chance.
Yeah, 2 years in jail. He might stay in shape, but that is a career-ending kind of misconduct.
It's I think part of it too is we're tired of you. Trevor Bauer, if you go through the whole story, didn't get another chance. We were just
and was technically vindicated.
Yeah, that's the thing, Tim. But the way you kind of behave through it all, and yeah, he was vindicated, but it's not like you're some choir boy here. It's not like so. But if Trevor Bauer in baseball, where you're needing pitching from every corner, no, we don't want that guy. He's just a bad dude, right? Mind you, he was the prize of free agency one year to the point where like the Mets thought they had him. No, we're the Dodgers. We swoop in and get him, and nope, the Dodgers were like, okay, just pay him, get him out of here. And nobody in that locker room, that was also part of it too. I think there's a code in baseball. Like if you're a good guy, they'll find a way. Like no, everybody was done with Bauer at that point.
Yeah, he had a fine career, but the attitude kind of separated himself from his peers and I guess humanity. But technically, those things were all resolved, and he was found free of any of the things that he was accused of. But still, like that's something that stays with you, even if, yeah. So that's a. And now I can't say there's a favorite Trevor Bauer story. There shouldn't be such a one, but if there is a memory that sticks out with Trevor Bauer, what's yours, Tim? I've got two. The drone game against the Blue Jays.
That's
in the
a good
ALCS.
one. That's a good one. Now, do you believe the story that he cut his finger on a drone?
I do. I don't know. I can't think of anything other like. I don't know what else.
What else you would do? Yeah.
So I believe it, and he went out and pitched a gem and carried the Guardians or the Indians to the World Series that year.
Yeah.
But the other one is when he was pulled from a game.
Yes.
And launched the ball 380 feet over the center field pole from the rubber.
This happens in Kansas City. It's during the day, and Francona is the manager. And he goes out, give me the ball. No, I'm not going to give you the ball. Turns around, throws it over center field, because I can only imagine like what the reaction of the crowd in Kansas City was at that point. But then Francona's like, oh, no, you don't get that. He stops him, and Francona chests him up like you're a misbehaving teenager, and just undresses Bauer on the mound. And I think Bauer at that point realized, okay, I showed my manager up, and I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's one of those things. But he's kind of the kind of person that was unabashed and didn't feel shame for. Like he knew that he did wrong, but it didn't bother him that he did wrong.
Yeah, that's his attitude. I got another one for you. He gets traded by the Guardians, and everybody knew it. And then he just stays and watches the game. Like, he just went out and had a cold one, and people are like, wait.
Sitting in the stands.
Wait, what?
Being a
what
guy.
are you doing here? Like, don't you got to go to Cincinnati? Don't you got to go to your team? Nope, I'm gonna hang out here. Weird dude. Weird. After not missing a single game in her collegiate career, and then she was great her rookie season, well, here in year 2 for Caitlin Clark, it's been different. The WNBA star will miss tonight's game against Los Angeles. This is on Prime with a groin injury. Right now, they're terming this injury as day-to-day. It's unclear, though, if the groin injury is related to the earlier quad injury, and that might be problematic. Clark is averaging 18 points per game this season. However, her last 3, she's only averaged 12, so she is pretty banged up right now.
It's been a rough go of it for her. This is also, you play more games now than you typically do growing up. I mean, the youth circuit, they play games, but it's youth basketball. It's not the same. She's probably overworked, and as somebody who's as competitive as she is, she puts in the extra work. She's probably just overworked and needs to take a break, which is probably really hard.
Right. And it's also, she's never faced defenders like this. That's what she's going to have to do. And maybe she needs more teammates to set her up. But, when you're playing in the Big Ten, these are grown women out there who really don't care about your stardom. They're going to punish you physically. So that's also part of it. NASCAR is a niche sport. Can we agree on it? It just is. I'm not bashing it. If you like it, that's great. But it's not something we talk about here. NASCAR is not something that's talked about in the mainstream media. It's like horse racing. I put it on that tier. Well, there's a new idea that's being floated out there that I think is worth discussion. What about another street race? Like Formula One does this all over the world, including the race in Vegas. Why not more NASCAR? They do have this in Chicago that's coming up in July, but there's another city that's getting rumored to be getting one of these, San Diego. And you know why this would work? Tickets from the Chicago event showed, Tim, that 80% of the ticket buyers there were first-time buyers to a NASCAR event, which that shouldn't surprise anybody.
Yeah, that's what makes it niche, I think, is the uniqueness of stuff like that. I would pay attention to that. I don't think I'm paying attention to anything beyond a niche, unique race other than the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I'm sure that, when NASCAR, and this might be before your time, probably not, but I'm thinking like the 90s here, early 2000s, when you had big personalities and no one liked Jeff Gordon because he was the outsider. Oh, Dale Earnhardt. And then Dale Earnhardt gets killed. And to me, Tim, that's when things changed. Like, okay, Jimmy Johnson won again, and okay, and now if you just quiz somebody, hey, name 10 current NASCAR drivers. Like, if you're not a NASCAR fan, you can't do it.
I can get there, but it would take time, and I would probably name 2 before I did it.
Right, you would say somebody who is retired. Yeah, that would be.
There's a lot of generational though, so I could just say a last name and probably be correct.
In the spirit of Mike Danger, did you ever hear of Dick Trickle?
Yeah, I actually, I remember walking in after a softball game. We went into our sponsor bar, and that was the breaking news that he had died. And I had heard of him before just from having the video game in the early 90s.
I had no idea Dick Trickle died?
He's been dead for at least a decade. Yeah, this is 2013, 2014.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Dick Trickle is dead.
Oh.
It was the same day as the NBA draft, actually. I think I recall it
May
vividly.
16, 2013. It's 71 years old.
Yeah,
Dick
it's
Trickle.
been a while.
Oh, my gosh. Well, talking about a niche athlete in a niche sport, Dick Trickle, rest in peace, buddy. Sports Bar raises a glass to you. Cincinnati Bengals are staying in Cincinnati until at least 2036. The team agreeing to a new deal, staying at this current stadium. While the current lease is going to take it through 2036, there are an additional 10 option years. So really the deal goes through 2046, Tim, but the reality is that the Bengals have an opt-out anywhere between 36 and 46.
There's been rumors of relocation and them being involved. They're not going anywhere.
No. It's I think part of it is like if you wanted to get the Chicago deal done to make that more profitable, could you get a second team? And because, well, we look at teams that don't have we went through this how many times in Buffalo. Bills are going to move. Bills are going to move. Like there's a lot of Warhawks out there that are doing that. Will we get in our lifetime another NFL franchise relocating? And I'm not talking about the Bears going to the suburbs or the Browns going to the suburbs. I'm talking about jumping markets. I'm talking about, hey, the Rams are in St. Louis. Now they're back to L.A. Hey, the Raiders are in Vegas. Will we get another relocation? Tim, I'm going to say no.
I'll say yes because the L.A. thing seems to fizzle out every 15 years or so. So one of those, the Chargers or the Rams, will move somewhere else. It might be, I guess, technically just California still, but that's relocating. I'll say yes, and I'll say it's one of those Chargers or the Rams, but only because the LA experiment, they do it every 15 or 20 years, and one of them ends up departing.
Yeah, I would have said yes if we do get the Europe thing off the ground, and then technically you have a Europe division, and then guess what's going to happen in 10 years? One or two of those markets are going to be like, okay, this sucks. And that's why I'm like, kind of thinking in the back of my mind, I don't know if we'll ever see. I know Goodell wants that, but there's a potential that could just blow up and be un-NFL-like if you have franchises overseas that people are just not going to take a liking to.
Yeah, that seems more like a perfect world scenario where everything is NFL, and everything kind of is NFL, but that would be a complete monopolization of everybody's interests to make it international.
So the Browns, we just brought them up. They're one of these teams that want a new dome. That's their preference. Their proposal to build a new dome, actually, where's kind of the state money coming from? It's coming from you. Get a load of this. Like, if you're familiar with Lost Revenue, the website in New York State, unclaimed funds, well, they have that in Ohio, too. And apparently there's $600 million in unclaimed funds that legitimately they're going to try to reroute to the stadium project. And, Tim, I would just say, how's that legal? How would they even hold up? I hear this, and I'm like, okay, then you know what? Your dome proposal, it's a fantasy if you think that that's where you're going to get the money from.
It sounds like it's going to be it sounds not complete, but just about a done deal. There's got to be some sort of statute on that money just laying around for that long that it becomes the states or the cities. I don't know exactly, but it sounds like this is going to be how it plays out, and by 2029, I think they said they'll be playing in Brooks Park.
That I don't want to see. I think that, okay, I'm saying this and I understand why, but if a team is already downtown, Cleveland, Chicago, then, yeah, don't move to the suburbs. What are you doing?
I agree.
For what? One Super Bowl? One Super Bowl.
Maybe they'll get a Final Four, too. I don't know.
One Super Bowl in Cleveland that, newsflash,
it won't be their own.
Everyone will bitch about.
True.
It's like, yeah, funny thing about the media and fans and everything, they want to go to warm weather in February when the Super Bowl is now played. Fun show today. Haley Wynn was our guest from Webster, now of the Boston Fleet. If you missed that, go back at about 4:30 in the free-to-download Odyssey app. Mike Underwood, we want to thank today. Dan DeLorean doing a great job. And, Tim, that's it, buddy. Our 2 weeks together has come to an end. But you know what's going to happen? Mike Danger's going to go on vacation again at some point.
I will be gladly back in this saddle if you will have me.
I'm heading out of town. If you are headed to the Cape and you see somebody with a Rochester shirt, a Nighthawk shirt or something like that, say hello. That might just be me. We'll be back together July 7th. Stay tuned. JR Sport Brief coming up next. And thanks for listening here on The Fan Rochester. Have a good night, everyone.